Howdy dorks. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Oh, I just woke the cat. Not, she wasn't asleep. She was just sitting over there. I know she was awake because she's been hounding me all day. Hello, howdy. Howdy, howdy. Meowdy even. How's it going, everyone? We're back at it. It's Monday. It's a Monday, hooray. Oh my goodness. I was watching the VOD to recap and it crashed weirdly because you went live. Oh, that's hilarious. Weird. Well, we're here now. We're here now. And so is the cat. It's a Monday. Yeah, it's a Monday. I'm so exhausted. I went to bed like 2 hours early last night and still didn't get enough sleep. Partly because of this one, but you know. How are you? How's everyone's week starting out? How's everyone's weekend? Meow meow. It's Unchowder. We're here to play more. We're doing more visual novel today. We're continuing with Heart of the Woods. Things are heating? Question mark up, I guess. I have to get up at 6:30 a.m. so like 5 hours after the stream is due to end, but F it, I'm in. That's, geez, okay. Well, don't let me enable too many of your bad habits. We'll end on time today. How about that? That's 6:30 is too early. That's too much. That's too much, man. Yeah, so we're doing the thing. I'm trying to remember what's going on. I remember we're dead, right? The mayor is evil and we need to deal with her somehow. Still a lot of question marks. We declined to become Queen of the Fairies. I still think that was a good choice. What was the other choice that we made? Oh, there was like, do we want to the sad forever, right? We could continue and press on and endure everything, or like just be sad forever. That was one of the choices we made. Give up or fight Evelyn. Yeah, we chose to fight Evelyn for obvious reasons. Evelyn, yes. Okay, but we're just gonna get into it. I don't remember. We're just gonna do it. I'm gonna do this side. There we are. I'm gonna load. We're in chapter 4. Hooray! We just had I don't think we had a perspective change, but something did just happen. What was just going on? Yes. Right, that was even more wonderful. Many times I imagined it. They kissed. They had a very good sweet kiss. That's what it was between Maddie and Ghost Girl had their first kiss. Yes, Ghost Girls. That's true. They are both Ghost Girls now. Ghost girlfriends. And right, I think you can hear it. It's just not making any noise right now. Yeah. Do you wanna maybe settle down or something? That'd be cool. We're trying to figure out what GI issues with cats. Real fun to diagnose and figure out what's going on. No must cat. Cat. Cat forever. Cat forever. Yeah, so we didn't have a perspective change, but we had a day change, so we called it there. Meh. Our next day passes blissfully. We wander through the forest, seeing all our favorite spots. The comfort of our new relationship makes the time we spend together even more joyful. Everything is prettier when I'm seeing it with Abigail beside me. And we're back at this pretty spot. Of course, as has become our tradition, we end up back at the mystical fairy grove. We settle into our favorite spots by the shore with perfect view of the pond. As much as I love films, I've never been a big fan of romance scenes. They always feel so forced. The soaring music, the obvious atmosphere, the cheesy dialogue, they're so divorced from reality. from real life that I just can't take them seriously. But here I am, watching the sunlight reflect off the shimmering water of a lake as the woman I love leans against me. Oh, why did I... Cat is pressing buttons. Cancel. There we go. Whatever. And I think that maybe those scenes weren't so unrealistic after all.
Madison.
What is it, sweetheart?
Sweetheart? I don't use pet names. That's not like me at all. But with her, I feel like it fits.
I know that I've said this before, and will probably say it many times in the future, but today and yesterday have been some of the happiest days of my life.
Mine too. And it's okay. I'll never get tired of hearing you say that.
Never? You are potentially in this forever, realize. She smiles at me as soft as ever, but hidden in her expression and in her tone of voice, I can detect a tinge of sadness. I touch her face, running my thumb across her cheek. She closes her eyes and leans into the motion.
Are you feeling okay?
Of course. Why wouldn't I be?
No, actually, I think I'm dead.
I don't know. You just looked a bit sad. Maybe it was my imagination.
I half expect her to deny it, but instead she nods.
You do know how to read me, don't you?
I do. What's wrong? You can tell me anything, I promise. Only if you want to talk about it, of course.
I imagine spending 200 years without talking to any living being has, like, you lose some of the control that you have on your face. Like, I imagine you can't hide your emotions at all after just being alone for 2 centuries. She pushes closer to me in response, resting her head against my chest.
This day is so lovely. I don't want to say anything that could spoil it.
You don't have to worry about that, Abigail. I love you, and that means I want to be here for you no matter what. We're going to have plenty of wonderful evenings, I promise. And being open with each other is the best way to make sure they stay wonderful.
This is unlike me too. Usually on the first day of a relationship, I'm still bumbling bag of nerves. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I move too fast, too slow? It's different with Abigail. The fear isn't there. I can't explain why. I just feel like I don't have to worry with her.
I was thinking about other happy days that I've had. How long it's been since then. And how the memories have since soured. How much have I told you about my sister?
0. How old do you think Abigail is? I mean, it's an interesting question. 200 years, she seems quite young, but if we work on the theory Evelyn killed her, then she'd be similar age to Maddie. Seems young adult, yeah. When Maddie first saw Abigail, her first impression was like the same age, right? That's as much as we got. I guess we don't really know how old Maddie is, other than old enough to have been in college and left college. So, you know, young adult-ish. I get Abigail's somewhere in there too. 20s? Question mark? I'd say. That's about all we know, though.
Not much. You mentioned that the two of you were close, and that you spent a lot of time in the woods together, but that's it.
We weren't just close. Helena and I were inseparable. Whenever anything went wrong, she would always be there to protect me. She swore that would never change. But fate had other plans for the two of us.
She trails off. Every other time she's mentioned her sister, it's only in passing. Her story last night about tracking deer is the only solid detail I have about her. At first I expect her to stay quiet like before, but instead she keeps talking.
For as long as it's existed, Eisenfeld has had a curse, you could call it.
Uh-huh.
A terrible monster who would destroy the village if given the chance.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. This is new information. Working on the assumption Maddie and Tara are mid-20s, but I'd say the others are early 20s. Yeah, that seems... I mean, yeah. I think they're all really similar age. I mean, we also know that Tara and Maddie were friends like in high school. They were talking about high school, so I think they're at least they're at least within a couple of years with each other, right?
To appease its terrible rage, we would offer a sacrifice to it. Every generation, a new offering would be chosen. But it didn't just want flesh.
It looks awfully similar to the forest spirit that we were friends with, except not, maybe?
The head priest would take the sacrifice into the forest to be offered to the horrible spirit. The sacrifice's soul and the head priest's body would both be consumed.
Oh.
Then the new head priest would emerge, having taken the form of the poor sacrificed victim. It was a painful reminder of those we had lost. When I found out that it would be a member of my family who was to be taken and given over, I wasn't shocked. There was only one thing that I cared about.
Hello, hello, hello. Showed up at the right time. Did you? Is this the right time or the wrong time?
That it wouldn't be my beloved Helena who was harmed.
Her voice wavers before she falls silent. Before I can tell her that she's said enough, she speaks again. Each word shakes as it leaves her mouth.
I couldn't forget the joyous days of our childhood. I couldn't let such a kind soul suffer such a horrible fate. So, when the time came, I offered myself. I volunteered to die so that Helena could live.
So there's confirmation that her dying is connected to Evelyn, right?
And in that very moment, when our fates were sealed, I looked at them, at Helena. And do you know what I saw?
Captivated by her tragic story, I can't even answer. I don't move my head or my lips.
Relief. Not once did she try to stop me or change my mind. Not that I would have let her, but I don't think she even thanked me.
Rude.
My parents cried, of course, but they didn't argue either. Neither of them stepped forward to take my place. No one did.
Rude. Suspect Abigail is the same age as Morgan. I think they're very similar.
While I'm sure my sacrifice was appreciated, I was quickly discarded without even a token effort or gesture of appreciation.
Or I guess Abigail and Morgan. Yeah, I bet you they are, because they probably have to be the right age to be taken as a vessel or whatever, right?
My sister, who had sworn to always protect me, had no difficulty accepting the fact that I would die for her.
What? She just gave you away? Just like that?
If death looms over you for long enough, it corrupts everything. Even love.
It didn't corrupt you.
Perhaps. Though I believe that that's why I'm still here today.
Also, I did die.
What do you mean?
The first step of the ritual involves separating the sacrifice's body from its soul.
Okay.
From what she told me, as she did it, those poor victims usually try to resist, begging for someone else to be taken. And when their souls are ripped away, they're too damaged to carry on.
So she is the only one who survived because she accepted it. Interesting.
I didn't resist. I went peacefully. And so the gentle forest spirit, who I'd been raised to believe was some kind of demon, eventually came and took me away. And I've been here ever since.
So the head priest is really Evelyn, right? The head priest or mayor in later times, I guess, says, I need to sacrifice this new person to the evil forest spirit, but in reality just hops into the sacrificed person. The old body just dies or whatever, goes away, and then new person comes, like sacrificed person comes back with head priest or Evelyn or whoever inside new person, and the forest spirit is just the scapegoat for the whole thing? Is that what we're getting at here? Her words carry a sense of finality. Not knowing what else to do and still stunned by her story, I simply lean closer to her and pull her into an embrace. Soul is severed and Evelyn possesses them. Yeah, exactly. Evelyn possesses the sacrifice and then gives up on her old body, and then that Evelyn continues being the head priest or mayor or whoever in the new body. Forest spirit is not as evil as Evelyn. As far as we can tell, the forest spirit's just a chill thing, right? It's shown no... The only things it's done that we know of so far is save Abigail and save us from dying. Those are literally the only two things that we know that the forest spirit has done. Abigail's severed soul reforged into a ghost. Right, with the help of the forest spirit, right? It doesn't seem like you could just do it on your own. The forest spirit seemed involved too. There aren't any words that could be enough. Physical comfort is all I can offer. To my surprise, though, when she finally pulls away from me, she looks happier than before. Just like I did earlier, she touches my cheek and then leans in for a kiss.
Thank you for listening. I've told the one person who matters, and now I think I can heal.
I know, sweetheart. I love you more than anything.
I love you too, more than anything.
She sighs contentedly and leans against my shoulder. She takes my hand and intertwines her fingers with mine. We sit there for a long time. We don't say anything. We don't even move. All we do is watch the sky and feel each other's heartbeats. Question mark. They do have a lot of weird, like... There are parts of them that still feel like they're not just ghosts, right? Like I wake up with a headache. How does a ghost have a headache? And I know something's wrong. I'm alone. Abigail must have disentangled herself from my arms at some point, leaving me on my own. I get up and pace around the church, not seeing her. After a bit, I find her outside his doors.
Good morning.
Good morning, my love.
Her lips smile, but her eyes don't. It's a look I'm pretty familiar with by now. I slip an arm around her as I take a spot by her side.
Sleep okay?
Well enough. I'm sure all of my nights will be better now that they're spent beside you.
I can't help it. I kiss her on the cheek. True joy brightens her face.
How about you?
Pretty good. I woke up with, like, a bad feeling, though.
Abigail did say they weren't technically ghosts, right? They're mostly dead, right? They're not technically dead. Their spirits are being held in the forest in some capacity.
A bad feeling? About what?
I'm not sure. My head kinda hurts, so maybe that's it? Actually, now that I think about it, this is the first actual pain I've felt since turning.
Abigail was having some weird issues too the morning after the tree burned. It's not the worst headache I've ever had, not by far, but it's enough to be annoying. Feels the same as being dehydrated or having a slight cold.
Aw, poor dear.
She stands on her tiptoes to kiss my forehead.
I felt the same, actually. I had hoped that stepping outside might help, but it seems not.
It's almost like someone burnt the tree down or something, right? I think that's connected. Because that's also why all the fairies were freaking out, I bet. Because that was like that morning after. She rubs her temples and I notice just how ragged her eyes look.
How long have you been out here?
A while. Perhaps an hour or so.
200 years, are you paying attention?
I was afraid I'd wake you.
Nah, I slept right through. It's not just a coincidence that we both feel sick, is it?
Abigail purses her lips. Her brief silence is enough confirmation.
No, I doubt it is. It must be something to do with the forest.
The trees before us sway in the breeze. To me, they look the same as ever. No traces of lingering sickness or pain.
You felt bad the other day, too. When we first met the fairies? Was it the same thing then?
Most likely. Changes in the air. Something's happening, and it isn't good.
I think of the fairies fleeing some unseen terror.
Is it Evelyn?
Probably. I half expect her to shake her head. I want her to say no, but she nods.
I think so. I don't know what she's done or why, but this can't all be coincidence.
I nod, my thoughts turning to Tara and Morgan. I wish they would just get out of here. Leave me to my fate and escape. Let Evelyn do whatever it is she's doing while they're across the ocean, safe. I know that won't happen, though. Tara's not the type to back down from a fight. Except this time, I know she's hugely outmatched, even with Morgan's help.
What about the forest spirit? You said it's a guardian of the woods, right? Why doesn't it stop her?
I'm sure it's doing what it can, but it's just as intimately connected to the forest as the fairies are. Far more than you or I. So as the forest itself weakens, so does it.
Worry creases her brow.
Is there any way we can help?
So that happened after Evelyn saw the two of them, right? There was that scene where Maddie and Abigail went to Evelyn's house to see if they could make contact with Tara and Morgan, and Evelyn saw them. And then afterwards, Evelyn burns a tree. It was after she saw them, yeah. Worry that she's basically killing the forest to kill them off. That's what I'm wondering. Or weakening the forest spirit. I bet you the forest spirit is like the only one who can like actually do something to Evelyn. So she's preempting whatever the two of them can do by weakening the forest spirit.
Not that I know of.
I can tell she's not really happy with that answer.
Maybe we can think of something together. There has to be something we can do.
Yes, perhaps.
She looks up at me adoringly.
I feel like I can accomplish anything with you by my side.
Her loving words are nearly enough to counteract the worry that I feel.
We've already beaten death. There's no way Evelyn can stop us. At least not a second time.
I don't know if I'd say that you've beaten it. You're kind of in a stalemate at the moment. First, we just have to figure out how. Abigail slips her hand into mine where it fits comfortably.
Perhaps you'll make an optimist out of me yet, Medicine. Shall we go for a walk?
I've already tied with death, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that our changing relationship hasn't changed our routine. The walks around the forest keep me grounded. They're enjoyable, but also a solemn reminder of how trapped we are here. My dream of finding a way out hasn't disappeared or diminished at all. It's just evolved to include Abigail too. There's no way I'm leaving these woods without her. We chat idly as we stroll, enjoying the newfound comfort and intimacy that comes from being lovers rather than just friends. The pain in my head is still there, and I'm sure Abigail still suffers from hers as well. But it's easy enough to ignore in lieu of the pleasure that that being together brings. We've reached the edge of the fairy clearing where we always seem to end up. As if by magic, Abigail is glued to my side. I wouldn't have it any other way.
We're probably a little bit early to meet Alma, although they sometimes come by at this time. This grove is one of the easier places for the animals to come drink during winter, so it attracts all kinds of wildlife.
Yeah, I've noticed all kinds of tracks in the snow leading around here.
She nods, pleased. But then, as we enter the grove itself, and my blood runs cold. Just ahead, lying prone on the frozen ground, is a fawn that I just know is Alma. Oh no! It's clearly dying, if not already dead. With a shriek, Abigail drops my hand.
No!
I can feel her anguish cut through me like a knife, visceral and burning. Dashing over, hands outstretched, she falls to her knees and presses a tender hand against its snout. A small motion confirms that it's alive, if just barely. It leans into her, either in fear or in recognition, eyes wild.
No! What's happening to you?
I move closer as well, though not so close as to crowd them. and what I witness makes my stomach churn. Gaping wounds perforate the poor thing's body, staining the ground red with blood. They look like knife wounds or bite marks, but there's no visible damage or puncture. It's more like its body simply opened up. Ew. Abigail flails her hands, clearly wanting to help but afraid to touch it and cause more pain. She turns to me, teary-eyed.
Madison! What do I do?
Turn it into a ghost? I don't know what to do. I don't even know where to start. I kneel down beside Abigail. The lacerations covering Alma's body are clean and even, but varying in size. Some are minute, some so small to be nearly invisible. The largest is a gash that runs the length of her torso.
How does this even happen?
Through choking sobs, Abigail manages to answer.
Magic! These are not normal injuries. It's the forest. The forest is sicker than I thought. And all of its children are hurting for it, too.
So we get headaches while Alma gets this. I shudder. Is it random? Could it have just as easily been one of us lying here bleeding out? You don't bleed. You You don't get this. You can't start turning deer into ghosts. That's how you get regal ancestor spirits. But I want regal ancestor spirits. Maybe our ghostliness is more of a blessing than I thought in this case. Though without it, we wouldn't be affected by the forest illness at all. Leaning over, I gently stroke the deer's head. Its breathing is restless and agonized, but it seems to register my presence. My thumb pushes against a wound that I didn't notice, and I jerk my hand back while Alma groans in pain.
I'm sorry!
The deer's blood is viscous, unnaturally so, and slick like motor oil. It sticks to my fingers, stretching and webbing. It's neither warm nor cold. It's unnervingly neutral. I try to rub it off on the snow, but my fingers pass through the ice and dirt, of course. That's weird. My hand trembles with a disgusting feeling that I'll never be clean again. Abigail is still beside herself, wringing her hands impotently. There's nothing that either of us can do. Just sit there and wait as Alma passes away in agony. But then, a tremor reverberates through the clearing. The ground shakes and snow is rattled from the branches. Fairy baubles dance up and down. Abigail and I both face the forest in direction of the sound, already knowing what's coming. The forest spirit strides into view, as tall as the trees but no taller. It brushes past the trees with no notice of the branches and snow that it disturbs. As it draws into the clearing, it acknowledges us with a level gaze. It's been a while since Abigail and I have been to see it. The deer looks up at the forest spirit with pained recognition, its eyes wide and breathing shallow with pathetic relief. Abigail looks up at it too, tearfully, clearly glad to see it. The spirit looms closer, its great presence alone seeming to revitalize the air around us. My headache vanishes in an instant. The spirit stretches out one immense finger, drawing from head to tail across the deer's mangled body. The two lock eyes, and the forest spirit retracts its hand. It curls the finger inward, calling Alma to it. In one motion, the deer's eyes roll backwards as life exits its body. At the same time, in spectral form, ephemeral and perfect, rises from its corpse. Boundless as in life, it gives us one last glance and then springs across the fallen snow before vanishing into thin air, gone to join some spectral herd somewhere. That's how you get ancestral spirits. Wait, they don't have bodies but aren't dead and are tied to a great tree. Melina? Maybe. I was thinking, I was getting Melina vibes from Morgan, honestly. Abby wipes her eyes of tears and stands. She moves to the spirit's side and gently pats it.
Thank you. I'm glad you came.
Only because she's sacrifice coded. I mean, it's true. And also the hair. The spirit's shoulders sag, its branches hanging low and still desperate despite the slight breeze. I notice what look like burn marks on its hide, where parts of its wooden skin is blackened and dark. Interesting. Hello, Lennox. How's it going? How's the game going? Game's going good? Question mark. We just watched a deer bleed out. It was sad, but our forest spirit friend helped it pass on less painfully. Yeah, things are going. Things are going. How are you? Without a doubt, it's Evelyn's doing as well. I'm reminded of an old man putting a child to rest. Sorrow and surely pain as well weigh heavily on it. I wonder how it knew to come. Did it feel almost pain, or perhaps Abigail's? Bearing the emotional weight of an entire ecosystem, my heart aches for the spirit, as well as for Abigail, who seems forever hurt by her powerlessness. It's going pretty good, testing out a new game called Dungeonborn. Ooh, it's an early access dungeon crawler PvPvE game. Interesting. I'll have to check that one out. The spirit and I meet eyes again, and I bow my head in reverence. I don't know it well enough to speak to it like Abigail, but for Alma's sake, I am also glad it's here. It stoops down and picks up the deer's corpse. Blood now runs freely from the injuries, somehow not clotting, and I have to look away. Without a second thought for us, the spirit turns and leaves once more, going back the way it came. Abigail and I watch it go. In all, the encounter couldn't have lasted more than a minute or two. Graphics like both Diablo and Path of Exile. Interesting. We were just talking about Path of Exile. I have a lot of time in Path of Exile. My Path of Exile is my second most played Steam game now. Only just recently passed by Elden Ring. But I have like about 1,000 hours of Path of Exile. Long after the last of its footfalls have faded away, Abigail and I sit in silence. I hold her close until finally we return to the church. The rest of the day passes quietly, the earlier euphoria of our relationship being overshadowed by fear of the shifting forest. Though Abigail is never more than an arm's reach away from me, and usually closer, she's nearly silent. Our headaches returns not long after leaving the fairy clearing, stronger than before. Now some combination of pain and sorrow keeps us both quiet. At some point I reach for her hand out of habit. And that's when it happens. My hand passes right through hers as if she isn't even there.
Abigail!
I say the first thing that comes to mind. With a fright she leaps up, searching around for the source of my panic. Seems she didn't even feel it.
Look!
I reach for her hand once again, and it passes right through, just like when we first met, before we could even speak with each other. She understands instantly.
Oh no! Oh no, no!
What's happening? Are you okay? Do you feel any different?
I don't know enough about magic to even start to guess why this might be happening to her.
Should we take you to the forest spirit? Or get you some rest? Or...
Medicine! It's not me.
What?
It's you.
I look down at myself. Sure enough, my whole body is slightly transparent. I can see the floor of the church through myself. Vertigo hits me and I stumble. Abigail lurches forward to catch me, but of course she isn't able to. Dread fills my heart. Please no, not again.
What do I do?
I slap my hand, a pathetically ridiculous action. I can't even feel it. My own hand goes right through me. Shakily, Abigail stands up, holding her head.
Something's happening to the forest. This must all be connected somehow.
Admittedly, it has a soul-like style when it comes to how unforgiving the game is for noobs. Of course. You gotta have a hard Souls-like, right? It's all the rage.
It's simply impossible otherwise.
What could Evelyn be doing?
Blink. I know that she has to be involved. I don't even have to ask.
I have no idea. Nor do I know why she's choosing now of all times to do it.
Do you think the forest spirit can help us?
The forest spirit is all I can think of. The only ally that we have. At least it's a powerful one. For now. Abigail looks away. I'm sure the spirit was her first thought too.
Perhaps we can try.
Wordlessly, she heads out of the church and I follow behind her. The happiness and joy that we shared so recently has evaporated entirely. I wish that life, whatever form it takes for us, could just slow down, that we could just have more than a moment to rest. But I know that that's impossible while Evelyn is still out there, and I know that one way or another, we're going to have to be the ones to deal with her. What I don't know is if we even have a chance.
Do you know what's going on? Has something like this happened to you before?
It hasn't. This is the first I've seen of it. But I think I know. I think that the forest is having trouble keeping you here. The magic is getting weaker too.
So does that mean that...
I leave the implication unspoken. Abigail halts in her track, facing me with a fiery determination.
No, I won't let anything bad happen to you. Not again. I promise, Madison.
I don't know if she has the power to keep that promise, but I can certainly hope so.
Okay, I trust you.
I really do. Believing in Abigail is my only option. But even if it weren't, it's like she said, together we can get through anything. I try not to think of what it would mean if I'm wrong. I'm not even totally sure myself. Would I just cease to exist? Go on to an afterlife? Something else? None of the options are especially appealing, and I know that dwelling on them will only make me feel worse. So I just focus on the here and now, and on sticking close to Abigail. Even I can tell she's right when she says the whole forest is affected. Aside from the harsh winds, everything else feels subdued somehow. The trees don't seem to stand as tall, and the leaves and needles look dull, even by wintry standards. What little sunlight there is feels dreary rather than bright. A light snow falls from the sky, but the heavy clouds overhead promise more, and soon. It occurs to me that we've been walking longer than we normally have to. Instead of changing the forest path to get us there quickly, we're following the regular route through the trees.
Hey,
Like
why are we
mortals.
taking the shortcut through the forest? Is it too sick to let us do that?
Wringing her hands, Abigail looks away.
It's more that I'm afraid to try. If I push myself too hard, then...
She leaves the consequences unspoken. I can imagine what they might be. The same as what's happening to me, or worse. Whatever exactly that is.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. It's okay. Take as much time as you need.
It's been so long since I visited the spirit. Our brief moment in the grove with Alma was the first time in days. I wonder if it's missed me.
Of course it has. Who wouldn't?
You're far too sweet, Madison.
She nuzzles her head against me. The angle's a little awkward since we're still walking, but it's nice. But then she just jerks away like she was stung.
Oh, you're back!
Oh,
Back?
okay. Her hand envelops mine, smooth and soft like always, rather than passing through me.
Oh!
Oh, we're all better now. Just because she can, she leans forward and gives me a quick peck on the lips.
I was so worried.
Me too.
I rub my arms and sides, making sure that I'm all there. Everything seems to be in order.
Hopefully it's permanent.
Indeed. It's not too much farther to the spirit either. We should hurry.
Sweat makes her brow glisten a little. She's definitely still feeling strained, even though I can tell she's trying to hide it.
Don't push yourself too hard, sweetie.
I won't.
Still, despite her words, the longer we walk, the more visible a toll it seems to take on her. Her steps slow down even though she wanted to hurry, and her breathing sounds labored.
Are you sure you're all right?
I'm fine. It's just...
Rubbing her eyes, she shakes her head. Right then, a pile of snow hits the ground a few feet away from us. Looking up, I spot a tree drooping, its boughs angled down as if bent.
It's the forest again. Not me alone.
She voices what I already knew.
Something terrible must have happened for it to be this way.
Since I'm unable to feel the forest like she can, all I can do is watch and worry.
Just now? Or at least today?
Maybe. Or we may only now be feeling the effects. I'm not sure.
I can tell by the frustration in her voice that she's nearly as in the dark about all of this as I am. I have to remind myself that what she knows, she only picked up by intuition and years of observation. I'm fortunate to have a guide as knowledgeable as she is about our situation, even if she doesn't know everything. I know when we're getting close to the grove of ancestral trees, from the change in the air and the way that the trees are larger than before. That profound sense of being watched and of the primal energy is still present, but even that feels mellower, or maybe strained. Through everything, there's also that acrid smell of smoke. Suddenly, Abigail lets out a yelp of horror and dashes forward.
Abigail!
I follow right on her heels.
Oh no.
It doesn't take long to discover what she found. Where once there was a mighty tree, all that remains is a blistered and charred husk blackened by flames. A painful buzzing penetrates my head, nearly unbearable, and all I can do is watch in horror as a foreign sorrow emanates. Even I can tell that this is the forest crying out. Here at the locus of its pain, even I'm affected. I can't imagine how Abigail must feel. Her fingers run across the damaged wood as if searching for a sign of life. I have to remember that this isn't just another part of the forest. This is its heart, its very soul. And for so long, it was also her home.
How did I not know? I've been so happy these few days that I must have blinded myself to the pain of the forest.
From behind, I wrap my arms around her, pressing my face against her shoulder.
I'm sorry. It's not your fault, though. Even if you knew, you couldn't have changed it. If anything, we were lucky to have those few days.
She clings to me, pinioning my arms into an even tighter embrace. Sure. As I feel her cry against me, my own uselessness feels more like a curse than death ever was. I wish there was some magic word or spell that I could use to make things better. But all I can do is hug her tightly and warmly, and hope that I'm as much of a reassurance for her as she is for me. Then, without warning, I once again see my arms go transparent, and the feeling of Abigail against me disappears. Although this time it's not as big a shock, it's still a reminder that we don't have long to wait. Abigail notices and steadies herself alone.
Let's keep going. The spirit must be around here too.
Why doesn't it stop, Evelyn? Isn't that its job as guardian?
It probably can't. I'm sure it wants to, but it relies on the forest for strength. So if the forest is weak, then it must be too. In fact, that may be Evelyn's intention.
The sinking feeling in my stomach intensifies. If she's even stronger than the forest spirit, then what hope do we have? I don't voice that fear, though. I'm sure Abigail's already worried about the same thing. It isn't much longer before we encounter the spirit. At first, we almost miss it. The forest spirit stands idle in a clearing, as if lost in thought. It barely seems to notice us when we approach. A slight tilt of its head is the only acknowledgement we get. It's small, smaller than I've seen it before, barely as tall as I am. The lights in its eyes, usually bright and terrifying, have gone dim. It looks more like the wounded deer from the clearing the other day than the being who helped it pass on. Just like the trees it protects, the branches sag and are bare. A few have jagged ends as if something snapped them off. None of the wildlife that usually accompany it is around. Instead, it seems alone and abandoned. Though it hasn't been long since we saw it last, it looks significantly pained. I wonder if its salvation of Alma was taxing on it. Abigail cries out again, just like when we came across the burned tree. As anguished as she sounded then, this time it's even worse. I hang back as she runs to its side, not wanting to intrude on a private moment. She places a hand on its leg, crooning something that I can't make out. Though the spirit tilts its head a bit more to face her, the motion is stilted and janky. As exhausted and sick as Abigail seems, the forest spirit seems to have it 10 times worse. Oh. It makes a mournful sound, a deep and sonorous hum. It seems to echo and reverberate off the trees around us. Though I can't understand it like Abigail can, the pain and suffering of its tone is obvious. Abigail presses a cheek against it, patting the creature gently, the same way she sometimes comforts me. I look down at myself, shimmery and transparent, and I'm pretty sure we won't be getting any assistance from the spirit. A wave of nausea hits me as I ponder just what that means. I don't have any backup plans. If Abigail does, she didn't mention them. Is my only choice just to stay like this and hope my condition doesn't get any worse? Ever since I came here to the forest, it feels like I haven't had any control over my own fate, almost like I'm dead or something. And I can't help but worry that this will be the final nail in the coffin, perhaps literally. I fidget, adjusting my scarf and hood and glasses countless times. Abigail remains close to the spirit, pacing slow circles around it as she talks to it softly. I wonder what she's saying. Sometimes the spirit will hum, or make a gesture that could be a nod. All the while, I keep my respectful distance. At some point, I realize that it's snowing. I don't know how long it's been going on. As some of the snow settles on the spirit's broad shoulders, it doesn't look festive or pretty. It just looks pitiful. The spirit sags, bearing the weight of the world. I'm not sure how long I wait, but I don't rush Abigail at all. This could be the last opportunity she has to speak with the forest spirit, judging by its condition. I'm sure she's thinking the same thing. I flip between solid and intangible so many times that I stop keeping track. I just watch the two of them. Finally, Abigail pulls herself from the spirit. She approaches me, looking like she wants to say something but doesn't. Her eyes say it all, though. I try to hug her, but she softly shakes her head and instead escorts me away back into the woods. Though she never looks back, I do, but just once. The spirit's lonely eyes watch us go. Heavy snow batters us while we walk. Though, of course, its chill doesn't reach us, our visibility is effectively zero. Too weak to even alter the path of the forest, Abigail clings to my side, trusting me to lead us back to the church. Although I maintain a brave face, I'm not fully confident in my ability to get us there. The blizzard calls to mind the memories of the day I died. Although I don't let myself dwell on them, I'm not alone. I'm not alone this time, and I have someone more to live for. Well, we're defo at a low ebb here with no real plan for either team. Basically, yeah. They know who the villain is. They know who needs to be stopped, and they have no known way of doing so. Right? Our journey is strenuous. We move at a glacial pace, but it's the fastest that Abigail can manage. Her steps are heavy and slow, and as much as I try to urge her along, I know that I can't. I'm glad that she's watched the ground and her feet rather than mine, so that she doesn't have to see the worry on my face. Cozy? Yes, question mark, doing a lot of lifting here. Yes. I felt a little disingenuous just calling this cozy, knowing that, knowing it's getting a little dark. Every time I start to think that I've got this whole ghost thing figured out, something new arises to complicate it all over again. And this time I don't even have Abigail's experience to guide me. What happens if she loses the ability to walk altogether? Or to speak? What happens if the magic that keeps me here runs out? The occasional flickering of my body makes that a very real concern right now. I hold tightly to her hand, the only anchor of comfort and security right now. But even that has grown clammy and cold. Swallowing a lump in my throat, we march on. Trees bow in the wind, trying to turn their backs against it. For the first time that I can remember, there aren't any woodland creatures out and about. No mice or rabbits or chirping birds, not even a panicked deer phasing in and out of existence like me. It might as well just be me and her and no one else in the universe.
Come on, I'm sure we're almost there. It can't be much further.
I say the words for my own sake as much as hers, though in truth I have no idea if I'm right or not. For all I know, we could be heading in the totally opposite direction of the church. Even then, once we arrive at the church, I'm not sure what to do. Will she Will she get better with time to rest? Will I? Right now the church is just a goal. It gives us something tangible to work towards. Something to keep our feet moving, slowly or not.
I'm sure you're right.
Her voice is barely a murmur. I can only hope that she's saving her energy on purpose. I'm afraid to ask. I wonder how much of what's happening is by the mayor's design. While everything stems from her, it's impossible to know how much was deliberate and how much was simply a ripple effect of what she's done. I wonder if she even considers us a threat or gives us any thought at all. If she doesn't, then maybe we can use that against her. Of course, first we have to reach a point where we can do that. During a momentary lapse in the blizzard, I'm able to make out a welcome sight of the sight in the haze, a warped and curled tree that I distinctly remember from an earlier trip.
Look, you recognize that tree too, right? I'm pretty sure you were the one who showed it to me the first time. We're almost home.
Abigail nods weakly, though she doesn't say anything. I squeeze her hand, trying to impart some strength to her. It kills me to see her like this, and I'd give anything to be able to help her.
Almost there, you've got this.
She nods again, unable to do or say more. Except she doesn't stop nodding like a bobblehead. I tug her along, trying to lead her the rest of the short way, but she's rooted to the spot.
Listen.
And then she collapses. I jolt and choke on nothing as I gasp for breath that I don't actually need. Abigail has fallen to her knees. I didn't even feel her hand slip out of mine. I try to take the half step. I didn't even get to read the whole line. Okay, that was weird. I try to take a half step across the few centimeters that separate us. It takes me a moment to understand, and immediately I wish I hadn't. Oh my god. I just stopped existing for a second. That's terrifying. Profound dread grips my heart. Looking down at myself, once again I can see right through my hand and arm as the snow accumulating beneath us. Not good. This is extremely not good. I collapse to the ground beside Abigail, but at least of my own accord. I try to shake her by the shoulder, but it takes several tries before I can maintain a form long enough to even touch her.
I'm sorry, Medicine. I just need a...
With visible effort, she turns to look at me. I don't think she even realizes what's happening. But then I phase into non-existence for another moment, and when I come back, horror is clearly etched into her face. Finding some hidden reserve of strength, she lunges toward me and grabs my hand. Immediately, everything goes back to normal.
Madison, are you okay? Can you hear me?
I'm fine now.
I hold her hands a bit tighter to reaffirm it.
Are you okay though?
I'm just a little tired is all.
She forces herself up again, looking more than a little tired. Immediately she sways and nearly falls, but I catch and steady her. She leans into me and I pull her into a hug.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Gently I stroke her hair. In truth, I'm terrified, but I don't want her to see that. It'd only make things worse. I guide Abigail over to a fallen tree where we can sit down, indifferent to the blizzard. Even though the church isn't much further, I don't want to push her too much right now. This forest is in a terrible state. I'll have a word with my employers. Gonna get on it quick. Have until the full moon. I wrap one arm around her as we sit, and I hold her close.
Where can we go for help? Maybe if the forest spirit sees how rough it is for us.
And do what? But she shakes her head.
Believe me, it would if it could. But I fear that it's even weaker than I am right now. It's much more in tune with the forest than me, so it's suffering the effects even more strongly.
All of this because Evelyn killed one tree?
It wasn't just any tree. It was one of the ancestral trees. The oldest one. They're the heart of the forest. All of its strength comes from them.
I can't pretend to understand their importance, but I know that Abigail isn't exaggerating, not at a time like this.
So what do we do? There has to be some sort of solution, right? Can we plant another tree or something?
Yeah, everything will be fine in another 1,000 years. Evelyn's such an evil bastard, I know, right? They've done a really good job of making me really dislike Evelyn. So close to having a roll credits moment there with Heart of the Forest. Yeah, no joke. Even as I say it, I know the idea is ridiculous. We don't exactly have the centuries it would take for a new tree to grow up as big and strong as the one that was killed.
The forest spirit is supposed to become the next one. All of the ancestral trees were once spirits like the one you've met.
Oh, interesting.
What's stopping it? The mayor?
Her hand clenches around my shoulder, where she was holding on tightly.
That's right. I hadn't even realized.
Realized what?
Groaning, Abigail sits up straight. So long as we're close like this, it seems like I'm able to maintain my physical form.
This spirit can't pass on its own. It needs the help of a fairy queen. That's one of her duties to the forest.
So we do need to be for the forest queen, the fairy queen.
But there's no fairy queen right now.
Yes, which means that there's no one to complete the ritual.
The rest goes unspoken as we both come to the same realization. An awful one.
Madison.
I know. There aren't any other options, are there?
None that I know of.
Mm.
I close my eyes and take a deep breath, heading off the wave of fear that I know is coming.
I'm sorry, again.
It's okay. You don't need to apologize. Really.
But
Taking both her hands in my own, I turn to face her, understanding her eyes close halfway as her lips part to meet mine. Part of me wishes I could spend an eternity like this, together, warm, with the woman I love. But even that isn't an option anymore. Our kiss ends far too quickly, although I'm not sure it could have ever been enough. When we part, there are tears on Abigail's face. I'm not sure if they're mine or hers.
It'll be okay somehow. I know it.
I'll be with you, no matter what.
I mean, that just means Abigail gets to be fairy queen consort? Is that how that works?
I know. Thank you. Seriously. I couldn't do this without you.
I love you.
I love you too.
As one, we turn and face the forest again, putting the church behind us. Resigning myself to what comes next, I point in the direction we need to go.
Let's go visit the fairies. I'm sure they're still looking for a new queen.
Interesting. We had the choice to be the fairy, right? We said no. That's interesting. I wonder what would have happened if we just agreed right then. Solved. Everything's good. Once again, we reach the grove where the fairies nest. It occurs to me that this is the only part that seems unaffected by the forest sickness. The trees are just as vibrant as ever, and the pond is just as crystal clear. We stumble into the middle, near the shore of the pond. Abigail takes several woozy steps, and I hold her shoulder to keep her steady. Then I flick her, and she starts to fall, barely managing to keep her balance. Forget days or even hours to find another solution. We might not even have minutes.
Hello?
I call out, a bit surprised that none of the fairies have come over to greet us. I watch the trees and listen for the buzz and flutter of wings. She will lose herself being fairy queen feels kind of shit, yeah, but she could possibly wage war on Evelyn. I mean, if she can turn the forest spirit back into an ancestor tree and make the forest strong again, maybe the forest itself has a way to deal with Evelyn? I mean, especially since Evelyn intentionally crippled the forest, like, on purpose, right? So it does seem that the forest has something that it can do in some fashion. So yeah, I mean, I agree with them. This seems like the only thing they can do, and yeah, it's an awful option. I don't think this is a good ending for Madison. Last March of the Ents, yes. Who has ever heard of losing oneself after ascending to godhood? I mean, it's just a hive mind. How bad could it be? Remain silent and still.
Hello? Fairies!
This feels a little absurd and on the nose, but I don't know what else to say. There's no response.
Please, we need your help!
I'm here to be your queen. Might as well be shouting into the void. There's not even a single rustle. I noticed that the birds who used to nest in the bushes seem to have abandoned this place. Elden Ring on the mind. Yeah, I wonder why. Never happens, ask Marika, she loves it. Tendrils of fear creep through me. What if the fairies are gone too?
Madison.
Weren't they like, they were traveling when they saw them last. I don't know if they were moving like to or from here. I turn towards Abigail, but she's not even looking at me.
Madison.
She just murmurs my name over and over. I still steel myself and face forward for her.
If you can help us, I'll find you a queen. Even if it has to be me.
My voice sounds stronger than I feel. There's no reaction. My heart pounds, feeling like it's going to burst out of my chest. Seconds pass, nothing. Beside me, Abigail has fallen silent, swaying on her feet but looking as if she might collapse. All of her trust and hope has been placed in me. I can't let her down. I won't let her down. Just as I gather breath to yell out again, I start to hear a faint buzzing sound deep in the trees. Something flickers far away, but getting closer. I realize it's many somethings. Tiny lights spark to life, woven throughout and across the trees like Christmas lights. Those and the growing buzzing herald the arrival of the fairies. They burst from the tree as a swarm, nearly enough to darken the sky overhead. Like before, 3 break apart from the rest and swoop towards us. A different 3, though. I recognize them as the 3 I spoke to before earlier, the ones I named Hey, Anon, and Frio, for some reason.
You're back! To be queen? We've been waiting.
They watch inquisitively while the rest of the swarm hover overhead. It isn't what I want. I still barely know what being queen would entail, much less a fairy queen. All I have is one short vision. It's not ominous, not even a little bit. But it's not like I have time to research or to learn. There's not time for anything else. It's this or disappear forever and leave Abigail to whatever fate she's suffering. Of course, that's not an option I'm even willing to consider. I put on the sternest face I can and lock eyes with the fairy in the middle.
Only if you can help us.
Wordlessly, the 3 fairies dart forward, inspecting Abigail and me. They communicate silently with each other, leaving me to wonder what they're saying and thinking. A minute later, they return to their position in front of my face.
Name your terms. But are you sure? We think we know.
If you make us human again, and stop whatever it is that's happening to us, then I'll make sure you have a queen. Whether it's me or someone else.
A queen! Who else could it be? We've spent so long looking. There's not much time left. For you or for us.
Wait, what do you mean? What are you running out of time for?
She'll make her move! Haven't you seen? The moonsick one.
Moonsick, there's that word again. Is Evelyn a fairy that got separated from the hive mind? Is Evelyn that one fairy she saw in the vision?
Moonsick one. You mean Evelyn?
Evelyn! A human name. It must be her.
I don't fully follow, but there's no one else they could be referring to. There's so much that I want to ask, but can't right now.
How long do we have?
Until the moon is at its brightest. That's when she's strongest. Will you be ready then?
I'll have to be.
I haven't been paying attention to the moon, but I know that it can't be more than a week until it's full, probably less. I really wish I had Tara's stupid shirts to use as a reference right now. Tara. In all of this, has she been changing her shirt with the phases of the moon? I thought it was just the one moon shirt the whole time. In all of this, I haven't even really been considering that. By becoming human again, not just a ghost, I'll be able to see her. You're assuming that they have the power to do that at all, though. That's at least one big upside, although I don't know where we'll even begin catching up. Still, that's something else that can be figured out later. Facing the fairies, I nod.
Okay.
We can start preparing. Are you ready? It won't take long.
Yeah. I just need a moment to get ready, too.
The fairies flit off and rejoin the rest of their kind, not bothering to respond. That's fine by me. I turn back to Abigail, who's been silent throughout this entire thing. At first I thought maybe she'd passed out, but instead she's watching me with anxious eyes.
Medicine, are you sure?
Freaky little allies, indeed. Softly, she leans against me. Well, she kind of falls.
Yes, I'm sure.
The fairies have all gathered near the pond, closer to one of the trees. They watch us intently, ruining the chance of any private moment. I kiss Abigail's cheek and feel her nuzzle against me for just a moment.
I love you, Madison.
She says it with more strength than she's been able to muster so far.
I love you too.
We look into each other's eyes for one last moment, then I turn and stride toward the fairies. I don't let myself look down. I don't let my hands shake. I keep my steps measured and even. I only glance back once to where Abigail is watching me. Then Hay, Frio, and Anon descend once more. Frio loosely grips a crown of woven flowers and leaves, as out of season as the rest of this grove. I would say that it doesn't feel real, but to tell the truth, it's been a long time since anything has.
Is it time? We hope it is. Just put this on.
That's it. All I have to do is put on the crown?
That's all for you. Is that too much? We'll do the rest.
Okay.
Oh yes, notoriously
Frio hands
simple
me the
fairy
crown.
magic. Frio hands me the crown.
On my palms.
I let it rest on my palms.
Light.
It's light,
Barely
barely
noticeable.
noticeable. The flowers are all woven together so deftly that I have to wonder if it was made by magic.
It's also slightly warm, like it had just been sitting in the sun for a while.
Since when does she read those?
I swallow the lump in my throat. This is what's best for everyone. Not just for me or Abigail, but for the whole forest. With one swift motion, I reach up and place the crown on my head.
It's cute, I'll give it that.
It fits perfectly, as if it was made for me. I wonder if it was. The moment it touches my hair, the fairies start to move. They chatter out loud, but there are so many of them speaking that it's impossible to hear what they're saying. I don't even know if they're human words.
Probably not.
Altogether, they sound like a forest of rustling leaves. I shut my eyes as I feel a tingling sensation. It starts at the top of my head and slowly works its way through me. It's not uncomfortable at all, but it also isn't anything ignorable.
Main requirement for Fairy Queen is having the correct size of head. There you go. That's why they got so close to her face and inspected her. They're just measuring.
Something soft brushes against my face and hands. It feels like snow, but isn't cold. And when it melts away, there's no trace of wetness left behind. An invisible force feels like it's tugging me in every direction at once, but I stay rooted to the spot. A light scent of pine fills my nose. Somehow, it's nostalgic. I open my eyes, still in the middle of my metamorphosis. Warmth spreads through my body like a hot cup of coffee, and with it comes understanding of the
I'm gorgeous
forest
now.
And how I'm a part of it. I'm acutely aware of its existence, tuned to its precise frequency. I imagine this must be what Abigail meant by being connected.
That's so pretty.
Memories that aren't mine start to run through my head. A movie that I can't shut off. Visions of trees sprouting from the earth and growing skyward, and of clouds forming and then falling apart.
Not cured your sight, though. Maddie Magical Girl transformation confirmed, indeed. From Magical Girl to Magical Girl?
Each denizen of the forest, every tree, every deer, even the forest spirit itself, come to mind at once, feeling like old friends I haven't seen in a while.
I guess do ghost girls count as magical girls? It's a different kind of magical girl. Weirdest Pokemon evolution path ever.
None of it feels new. It's not intrusive or foreign. Rather, this knowledge feels like something that's always been there, but without my awareness. Or maybe something I'd forgotten.
Normal ghost fairy. Yeah, Normal, then normal ghost, then normal fairy. Or maybe ghost fairy. I think she's ghost fairy right now, which is even weirder. She didn't have an outfit change before, so it didn't count. Oh, I guess that's true.
It's comfortable. And still the fairies dance overhead, their rustling chants even louder as they perform their ritual. I wonder if all fairy queens are inaugurated this way. And at the same moment I wonder, I know instinctively that they aren't. Visions of a beautiful woman whom I immediately recognize as the missing fairy queen come to mind. And with her comes a longing, a feeling of something missing.
Mimic you.
Then as my thoughts turn, the vision and the longing are gone too. I can feel the rustle of cloth against my skin as even my clothes acknowledge the changes, taking on a life and form of their own. They lengthen and stretch and puff out, becoming a dress more elaborate and beautiful than anything I've ever worn before.
Let's find the real queen. You assume that this is a reversible process. I think the crown goes on, and that's it.
Living, breathing flowers bloom from its hem right before my eyes, matching the crown on my head.
You don't unevolve.
I feel the magic work its way through, over, and around me, enveloping tightly. And then, as the ceremony comes close to an end, I start to feel it drain out of me. It seeps down and out, and back into the earth and air, returning to the forest that lent me its strength and trust to take on this role. As I heave a deep breath, the enormity of the responsibility that's been placed on me feels heavy, but not unbearably so.
I want Mimic You to get an evolution that makes it a fairy queen. Aw, that'd be glorious. That'd be glorious. Fairies not upholding their end of the bargain, that never happens. She just said that she wants to be, well, she said normal, which is probably not a strong word to use with fairies. But I thought she was like, just make me alive again, but I'll still be the queen.
If anything, I'm reassured by the competence and power that I can simply feel that I have. I'm not invincible. I know that much. But for the first time in ages, I feel like I'm in control. I stumble, just a little bit, as my feet touch the ground that I never knew I'd left. The instant that I do, the last of the shifting magic leaves me, although I can still feel it as part of the forest. Without anyone saying anything, without any confirmation, I simply know. It's done. I've become the fairy queen.
I've become the fairy queen. Long live, question mark, the queen. We're gonna see a magic battle? Probably. Kaiju battle in the Kaiju fairy forest battle. My first steps as fairy queen are shaky. At any moment, it feels like my legs might give out from under me. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. Yet at the same time, I feel strange sort of confidence and inner strength. I don't know if magic literally courses through my veins or not, but it feels that way. You don't have veins. You don't have veins. What's with your skin? Oh, it's like a lacy thing. I see. Mostly I need this to have a good ending so that we can see Tara's face when Maddie comes back from death and goes, oh, by the way, I'm queen of the fairies. I need that moment to happen. Really like her outfit. It's a really good outfit. I really, really like this. My next few steps as fairy queen are easier. I keep my gaze fixed on Abigail as I make my way towards her. She waits impatiently, concern clearly etched on her face. The fairies buzz agitated over my head. Agitatedly, darting and dashing in pointless patterns. Though they don't vocalize anything, I can hear their voices clearly in my head.
Our queen! Welcome home. How does it feel?
I acknowledge their words, and at the same time, I can feel myself be acknowledged. It comes as naturally as breathing. I promise that I'll get to them in a moment.
Madison, are you all right?
She clings to my side, her slender arms tight around me. Though I'm not shaking anymore, her presence is still infinitely reassuring. I press my lips onto her head and we sway gently back and forth. I can feel her too as a part of the forest. Her presence is as warm and comforting in my head as in my arms.
I'm fine. I'm totally fine.
I want that so we can experience Tara's "I told you so" about supernatural being real. Yeah. And then Maddie just being like, "Yeah, I know. I figured it out. Thanks." She makes a sound that I think is a gasp, but I think I soon realize is a sob. Abigail cries against my shoulder, her arms tightening like a vice. I don't ever want to let her go. I hold her as tightly as I can while her body is racked with sobs. Her breath and tears are warm, almost painfully hot. The thin lace of my new outfit does little to inhibit them.
I'm so sorry that all of this is happening. I'm sorry.
Well, on the positive side, Abigail, I have a couple thousand new girlfriends for you. Gently, I find her hands and take them in mine. I squeeze them, trying to impart the same kind of solace that she gives to me.
It's okay. Really. I'm happy things turned out this way. I'm glad that I met you, no matter the circumstances.
Her cries get stronger, and I drop one of her hands in order to brush her hair back from her tear-stained face. We hold each other tightly until she's able to calm down. Meanwhile, the fairies still continue to circle overhead, although they remain respectfully silent. The only time fairies will ever have patience. Finally, Abigail heaves a steady breath and steps back just a little bit.
I'm sorry again. It was just that seeing you there with the fairy light. I mean, you looked beautiful. You still do. More than beautiful. But it made me again realize everything that you've gone through. Everything I've put you through.
I press a finger to her lips. She looks up at me, surprise replacing the sadness.
It's okay. I'd go through all of it again to end up here with you. I mean it.
Aww. This is kind of Maddie's fault because she got them seen by Evelyn. Maybe. I mean, the question would be, would she have done that anyway? Because, I mean, in theory, the forest spirit, it kind of... I mean, I don't know. Maybe the forest spirit doesn't like what Evelyn is doing anyway and would have tried to act against her even if they weren't ghosts, right? But who knows? It did definitely seem like them getting seen is what triggered that. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like the fairies would be okay with lesbian love. They tend to lure men to their deaths in darker European mythology. True. I mean, they haven't objected so far. I assume they're fine with it. Abigail sniffles heavily, and I can tell that she's trying not to cry again.
You can make it up to me by getting out of all of this with me.
She nods.
That sounds more like a gift to me than the other way around. But I'll keep being selfish and take it.
Good. I want you to be selfish.
We kiss quickly and briefly, then separate. I look up at the fairies above me, who are glad to be noticed again.
Thank you for saving me like this. I owe you my life.
Fairies begging for attention when they're literally in her head. Somehow I've ended up owing my life to way more people than I ever expected to.
You have 3 days to keep it. That's right! You're running out of time! We can't wait much longer!
I know. I'll find a queen for you.
I know that it won't be easy as easy as I make it sound. After meeting some of the Eisenfeld locals, I don't get the impression that any of them would be interested in the offer. Still, I have 3 days to figure it out.
We'll be waiting. We know we'll see you again. With a new queen or not.
The ritual finished, the fairies quickly disperse back into the trees. I'm glad there's no more ceremony or ritual to go along with my transformation. Alone with Abigail once more, I head to the shore of the pond so that I can finally get a full glimpse of myself. I can barely recognize my own reflection. The girl staring back at me from beneath the water looks much more suited to the position of queen than I expected. She looks calm and confident, like she's unafraid of whatever happens next. I hope I'm just not fooling myself. I turn this way and that, admiring my new outfit. Atop my head, the flower crown that the fairies gave me fits comfortably. I wonder if it's meant to tempt me into staying. Abigail moves closer, peering into the water with me. Our reflections next to each other serve as a visible reminder as to why I can't stay. As comfortable and satisfying as this newfound gift is, I have no desire to keep it at the cost of our freedom. I'll get us out of this.
Are you ready to go?
I am.
Okay, first things first, we need to get in touch with Morgan and Tara. They probably know more about the mayor than we do.
It'll also set my mind at ease a lot. There's so much that I need to say to Tara, even if I spent all 3 of our days just talking to her, that still wouldn't be enough time.
How will we do that? Going into the village would be far too dangerous.
We don't have to. We just have to get to the cabin.
I flex my fingers, still acutely aware of the magical tingling.
And that's easy like this.
Abigail runs her fingers over mine, her skin angelically soft like always.
All right. I trust you.
I curl my fingers, squeezing her hand again.
Thank you. Speaking of which, there's something I think we should do.
I pause a moment while she waits expectantly. Much like the way my coronation just ended, what I'm about to say seems unceremonious.
I think I can return us to the physical plane, too. Both of us.
I mean, that's handy. I thought the point was that she become fairy queen so that she can turn the forest spirit into an ancestor tree, though. Wasn't that the point? Or is that has to happen on the full moon, too, probably? It takes a second for the implication to sink in before Abigail's eyes grow wide as saucers.
Madison! Are you sure?
Her hand clutches her heart.
Yeah. I can't explain how I know, but I just do. There's a lot of stuff that I can do now.
I just leveled like 50 times.
But that way, you'll be able to talk with Morgan and Tara too. And I know that we'll need all the help we can get at the end.
I keep banishing thoughts of what the end will be, because there's only one way that this can end, putting a stop to Evelyn once and for all. She unlocked a new class. She prestiged. I don't need that weighing on my mind along with everything else right now.
I understand. You know that I wouldn't just abandon you, Madison.
I know.
Abigail takes a deep breath, steadying herself.
Okay. I'm ready.
Silently, I step forward, offering her other hand in mine as well. I close my eyes and bow my head, and I feel her do the same. I can feel the magic course through me and out of me, spreading like vines from my fingers. It affects both me and her, taking our very forms and rebinding them to the mortal world where they belong. I can feel Abigail tense up, and hear her breathing get shallow. Still, I keep my eyes closed, willing the magic to continue working. It obeys my whims effortlessly. And then after a minute that feels like an hour, the flow of magic slows and then stops. I open my eyes. Abigail is still there, her hands warm in mine, her eyes slowly open as well, meeting mine. This close together, I can feel her breath warm against my face.
How do you feel?
A light breeze blows through. For the first time in 200 years, Abigail's gown sways when the wind.
It's cold.
Oh, it's freezing. My understanding is she offered to help them find a queen or be queen if they turned them into humans and saved the forest. They say yes if she becomes the queen now. So I suppose she's on a timer, find the queen or stay as the queen. Yeah, that's my impression as well. I'm not clear if that makes them human now. I mean, I think they are now. I think the queen is the one who has the power to do that. She says and laughs, pressing herself even more tightly against me. Abigail shivers, her teeth begin chattering within seconds of her transformation. Despite how poofy it is, her gown really isn't very warm at all. Fortunately, the cold never bothered me anyway. It wouldn't make sense for a fairy queen to be susceptible to the cold. I Guess. But taking care of Abigail is a pressing matter.
Let's go to the cabin.
Pitch eye
I can
magic.
get us there quickly.
She just nods, wrapping her arms tightly around herself. I hug her tightly as well, and access the magic once again. This time I'll use it to transport us across the forest to its very boundary where the cabin is, and where my powers stop being useful. Since the cabin and the village are technically outside the bounds of the forest, once I step past the trees, I'll just be a regular ghost again. Or at least until I go back into the forest. So she turned Abigail into a person? So I can't get too far away. If Evelyn were to find out where we are or make some move against us, I'd be powerless to stop her. Better to not even give her that opportunity. Still, the transportation is smooth. It doesn't even feel like we move. Instead, we close our eyes in the fairy clearing, and when we open them again, the cabin is just in front of us. Seeing it again strikes a pang in my heart. It feels like forever ago. I guess technically it was a lifetime ago. There's no time to get sentimental, though. Not when Abigail's like this. Instead, we hurry to the front door. Miraculously, the door is unlocked. I guess Morgan and Tara had more important things to worry than locking up the last time they were here. I put this on a t-shirt. That'd be a good one. We rush inside and I turn on both the lights and the heater. So she can touch things now, but she's still a ghost? Question mark? As warm air cranks out, Abigail's relief is palpable and immediate. She settles down onto one of the chairs, comfiness outweighing even her curiosity for just a moment.
Better?
Much.
She luxuriates in the feeling, eyes closed in bliss. Her fingers absent-mindedly scrape the soft cushion of the couch, which she presses her back into.
It's so soft.
I think Abigail has a body if nothing else. It sure seems that way, but she can also still see Madison and interact with her. Then she leaps to her feet, zooming towards the kitchen. She drags her fingers along every different surface as she goes, stopping to examine most of them. Culture shock, Abigail, yes. So here's the internet. She rubs the edge of the counter.
Madison is so smooth and cold.
At the sink, she examines the faucets intently before spinning one of them. Cold water pours out over her hands and she yelps in shock, but it quickly grins.
Madison, it's like a river.
Here's the internet. Stay away from it. Then she reaches the heater, which is pretty much keeping her alive right now. Like a cat, she basks in front of it, relishing the warmth. Each sensation seems to bring her immeasurable joy. For me, it has been a couple of weeks. For Abigail, it has been 200 years without feeling warmth or cold or textures. I watch fondly. I wish we had more time to enjoy ourselves, more time to show her modern things like films. I remind myself that I can't think like that. We just don't have the time yet. We don't have the time yet. We just have to get through this, then we'll have all the time in the world.
I'm going to get you some warmer clothes. I'll be right back.
All right.
She still plopped in front of the heater, closer than I would have thought as comfortable. Smiling, I head into what had once been my bedroom. It's been rearranged a bit. My suitcase has been shoved in one corner, forgotten. My laptop sits atop the bed, although most of the video gear is missing. Tara and Morgan must have taken it with them when they left. Good thinking. I start booting my laptop while I roll the suitcase to my bed and start shifting through my clothes. After everything I've been through, the actions feel so mundane that I have to give myself a second just to let it all sink in. Everything's been moving so fast since that night Abigail and I kissed by the water. There's hardly been a chance to breathe. Still, being back on familiar territory with familiar comforts is reassuring. It makes me feel like a human again. Something as simple as being able to push a button on my computer and watch it respond is a little miracle that I don't think I'll take for granted again. Getting used to the necessities of normal life like eating and sleeping will definitely take some time though. Same with keeping warm. Unfortunately for Abigail, my clothes are the only option she has. They won't fit her as well, but they should be better than that nightgown she's been wearing for so long. I complete the outfit with a cute hat. I hope she likes it. Outfit change?
There you go. They're not the best fit, but They should at least keep you warm.
Abigail hurries over and reverently takes the bundle from me.
Are these your clothes?
Yeah, they are. I hope that's okay.
She holds the bundle to her chest.
I'll treasure them.
I show her to the bathroom and also explain how everything works. I have to admire her restraint and just accepting everything modern in stride. It isn't too long before she emerges once again. She holds her arms wide, the cloth hanging a little loosely from her in parts, but she's smiling. Oh, that's a good look. That's a good look. Oh, and the hat. The hat matches Morgan's. Abigail also technically a magical girl now. There you go. There you go. Her transformation was coming back to life in putting on a coat.
How do I look?
Gorgeous.
That's the word I managed to stammer out, though there's a whole new slew of them that would work. Call me biased, but I think my clothes look better on her than on me. Giggling, she does a slow spin, showing off more.
The person who chose them has wonderful taste.
Abigail gets comfortable in the living room while I grab my laptop from the bed. I sit down beside her, turning it so she can see.
This is a computer. It can do a ton of things, but it also lets people talk via long distances.
Oh my god.
And that's how you're going to contact Tara?
Right.
Abigail watches with rapt attention as I open a browser and wait for the painfully slow internet to load my email.
There are so many different pictures and words. Don't you ever lose track of where you are?
Always, that's the point.
Not really. You get used to it.
Surely you're being modest. I imagine very few people could operate one of these.
I love her.
I wish. But really, most people have one of their own. Or even more than one.
Why did she say long distances are slow? I think just the internet in the cabin is slow. Is something they noted before.
They're a really common part of everyday life.
I see. In that case, you'll have to teach me.
Definitely. For now, though, I'm going to send that message.
How will it be transported?
It's,
Magic! I try to think of how to explain this, then I realize that I have the perfect analogy.
You know how the forest is all totally connected?
That's true.
Like, how you can sense all the different parts of it?
Abigail nods, and slowly her face gets pale.
Medicine. Don't tell me that modern people are connected in the same way.
Kind of. I can't help it. I burst out laughing. Indignantly, she waits for me to finish. It takes me past the point of having tears in my eyes before I do.
I can see that I was wrong.
She pretends to pout, though I can see in her eyes that she's just playing.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just that you look so horrified.
She laughs too.
Well, imagine how I feel. Apparently nothing is impossible anymore, so I simply have to assume the worst.
She snuggles against me, pressing her cheek against my shoulder to show that she's only pretending to be upset.
So, go on. Do explain it then.
It's not the people who are connected, but the machines. If you have a computer, you can send a message instantly to any other computer in the world. It's more complicated than that, but that's the easy way to put it.
I see. So you're going to send a message to Tara's computer?
Right. I'm going to tell her to come and meet us here. I hope she'll believe it's me.
I'm sure that she'll know, somehow.
Just take a selfie. I nod, entering Tara's email address into the field. It feels absurdly formal to be sending an email of all things to get in touch with her. I don't think we've ever had an email conversation in our lives. I leave the subject line blank. Anything I could put there would feel comical. Hey, so I'm dead, but I'm back now. R.E. Queen of the Fairies. I don't really know how to word the rest of this message, so I don't think about it. I just put my fingers to the keys and start to type. Dear Tara, I know this is going to sound kind of hard to believe, we switching to Tara now? No? I'm acquainting Abby with modern technology when the sound of loud voices from outside interrupts me mid-sentence. Well, one very obnoxiously loud voice. I only know one person who can make a racket like that. I grab Abigail's hand and lead her out into the living room just in time to hear Tara and Morgan reach the door.
Tara,
Hooray!
stop for a second. We don't know for sure this isn't a trap.
Yeah, but what if it's not? I can't take that chance. I'm going in.
Tara, wait!
Her shirt is changing. Hilarious. Okay. The door flies open so hard it bangs against the wall. Tara freezes in the doorway, probably not expecting to see me right there. Or maybe even hear it all.
Hey.
Everything I had rehearsed and planned to say in my head is forgotten in an instant. Somehow this feels more unreal than anything else so far. I never had time to doubt any of the stuff that's happened to me. I had plenty of time to doubt that I'd see Tara again. Tara's mouth flaps up and down like a nutcracker statue. I don't think she forms a single coherent word. Morgan approaches from behind and places a protective hand on Tara's shoulder, which seems to reset her. She rubs her eyes and stares at me. Either she doesn't believe what she's seeing or she's about to cry. Maybe both. Next scene, we see Tara getting the message and exclaiming that Evelyn is taunting her via email. No way Maddie would admit to the supernatural, right? Well, fortunately, that was a conversation they had like right before Maddie disappeared, right? They saw the forest spirit together and Maddie was like, well, I'm wrong about everything, clearly. That would be hilarious, though. They just completely disbelieve the email.
You changed your look a little bit, huh?
When she finally speaks, her voice shakes like crazy.
You like it?
Tara gives me a slight nod.
It makes you look like a total nerd.
Without another word, she bursts into tears. She doesn't even hesitate a moment before bounding forward like an excited, tear-stained racing dog. I spent so long worrying about her that seeing her safe and sound in the flesh is almost too much to handle. There are so many things that we left unsaid or unresolved. I'm just glad that there's time to fix that now.
I thought you were dead.
Kinda was.
Me too.
We both burst into laughter, still punctuated with sobs. But at least we both have the clarity of mind to tell that this hug has gone on for way too long. When we split apart, she has a big dumb grin on her big dumb face.
Welcome back, Mads.
Good to be back, Tara.
Our reunion over, Morgan finally steps forward, taking Tara's hand in her own. She smiles at me, her expression soft for once.
Hey, Maddie. It's good to see you again.
Her voice is as calm as ever, but the wide, genuine smile on her face tells me that these last couple of weeks have changed her as much as they changed me.
You too, Morgan.
I feel like I should say something more than that, but I know neither of us is much for words. It's nice to have someone else around who feels the same way for once.
Before anything else, there's someone I'd like to introduce you to.
My new girlfriend. I turn to gesture for Abigail, but at first she's nowhere to be seen. Crap, I've been imagining her this whole time. Then I spot a familiar flash of pink and purple lingering by my bedroom door. Right. We spent so long together that I've forgotten how timid she was when we first met. Her eyes are wide as she wrings her hands, looking from me to Tara and back. Tara and Morgan look just as shocked once they notice her. My new swarm. I head over to where Abigail is and take her hand.
They're okay. I promise.
She nods, letting herself be led back into the living room.
Tara, Morgan, I'd like you to meet Abigail.
I pause for a moment.
She's my girlfriend.
Whoa, we do have a lot to catch up on.
She turns to face Abigail.
I'm Tara. I've been friends with Maddie for forever.
It's nice to finally meet you, Tara. I've heard a lot about you.
She's my queen consort.
Hell yeah! All good things, I hope?
Mostly.
I'll take it.
Morgan steps forward too.
Morgan, nice to meet you.
Abigail nods politely.
You as well.
So, let's sit down. We've got a lot of catching up to do and not a whole lot of time to do it.
The four of us move to the couch and sit down. Right as we do, though, there's a loud grumble from beside me. Abigail clutches her stomach, looking absolutely mortified. Oh yeah.
What was that? What's happening?
I'm dying!
Oh, yeah. We should probably eat something.
Eat.
Her eyes light up.
That's right. I'm hungry.
Morgan and Tara look baffled. I can't blame them for that one.
Like I said, long story. Is there anything to eat? It's been a long time since either of us have had a meal.
I'll make us some breakfast. Cross your fingers for pancake mix. Anyway, I think that's everything.
Minus the really juicy stuff, anyway.
I'm okay with not hearing about that. Thanks.
Abigail, now finally finished with her meal, wraps her arm around mine and rests her head against me. Morgan sighs and sends Tara and me a meaningful look. She rises and clears her throat.
Abigail, would you mind coming with me for a minute?
Morgan's voice carries a more serious tone that feels like a sudden departure from our lighthearted reminiscing. I knew it couldn't last forever, but I'm hopeful we can return to it soon.
Is something wrong?
No, not at all. But there's something we need to talk about. And besides...
She looks at Tara, then over to me. Her tone might be serious, but her soft expression makes it clear she's not about to deliver any bad news.
These two might need a bit of privacy.
I nod at her as Abigail lets go of my arm. With a quick kiss on the cheek, she stands and walks to Morgan's side. Just need the cat and the Scooby Gang is back together. It's true. Now we would have a Scooby Gang. Pink hair is completely out of style. The two of them head towards the bedrooms, leaving Tara and I to stare at each other in silence. We look away from each other awkwardly as I try to think of what to say. Should I speak first? Should I wait for her? What do I say? She knows how much I missed her, but there was so much tension between us before I died. I never had a chance to apologize for hiding Abigail, or for how I handled telling her I was going to quit. I take a deep breath and raise my head. I just need to go for it. I spent enough time waiting to speak. Whatever happens, happens.
I'm sorry.
I shouldn't have...
It was really shitty of me to... I just...
We both slam our mouths shut again. Tara's face reddens and she chuckles softly.
Maybe we should take turns.
As long as you don't mind going first.
She takes a long, overly dramatic breath and closes her eyes.
I know I was shitty to you about leaving. I should have listened to you and accepted it instead of being all bitter and passive-aggressive. And I know I was even shittier once we got evidence. I shouldn't have frozen you out like that.
Maybe a bad choice of words there, Tara.
I mean, I shouldn't have ignored you the way I did. I want you to be a part of Terranormal. I really do. Trying to exclude you was stupid and impulsive.
She looks me right in the eyes, and I can tell that all of her typical bravado is gone. This is pure, naked honesty. It's hard enough for me to manage something like that, much less her. She's really put her heart into this, and I'm more than grateful for that.
When all of this is over, whatever you decide to do, I won't stand in your way. You know I always want you to be a part of Terranormal, but you gotta be your own person. And you're my best friend. Thinking I might have lost you forever made me realize I honestly have no idea what I'd do without you. I give you a lot of shit, but I really do love you. I'm so sorry this all happened because I was too much of a screw-up to remember that.
Tara exhales and slumps back in her chair as if the act of apologizing drained all the energy from her body. She's grown so much in the short time that we've been here. Then again, so have I. I need to make sure I show her the same sincerity in return.
I'm sorry too, Tara. Even if I was mad, I shouldn't have hidden Abigail from you. It made things worse for both of us, and it drove us apart when we should have been getting closer than ever. But more than that, I shouldn't have set this whole thing into motion the way I did.
The memory of our fight back home is painful, but I can't keep trying to run away. Instead of dealing with it head on, it's not fair to either of us.
I should have told you I was thinking about leaving and why I was thinking it. I should have talked things over with you instead of dropping the bomb on you right before we left. When I thought I was going to be stuck here forever, I realized you were the person I'd miss more than anyone else. Even more than my family.
The coming of age story, after all, it's very true.
I don't know what I'm going to do when we get back. I still have a lot to figure out. But I do know that whatever happens, we'll always be best friends.
Hi.
As she struggles to think of what to say next, I gently put my arms around her in a reassuring hug. We said enough for now. She hugs back, squeezing a bit too hard. We stay that way until it starts to get awkward, as hugs between us tend to. I pull away and sit back down, a bit embarrassed.
So, are we good?
I let out a deep breath, releasing the anxiety that had been twisting in my stomach in knots. Whatever happens next, I know it'll be easier without that dragging me down.
Yeah. I think we're good.
Are we good enough for me to start calling you the ghost with the most?
Don't push it.
And now we're Morgan again. Okay, interesting. I wonder if Morgan is going to be the Queen of the Fairies. If it all goes to shit, at least they've made amends. Yeah, they had an actual adult, mature conversation and apologized to each other. Everything's gonna be okay, right? I'm gonna go to the restroom and be right back. I'm back. I end up bringing Abigail into Tara's room. The two of us carefully step over the pile of clothes on the floor to sit on the bed. Was Tara still staying here? I thought they had left this and were staying in Morgan's place. Welcome back, thank you. She bounces on it a few times. I don't think she's used to springs.
Having fun?
How do you people sleep in these? Aren't you afraid of just bouncing out of bed?
It's not that bouncy. It's just comfortable.
I suppose tomorrow I can let you know if I agree.
I assume Tara left crap everywhere. I assume so.
So, what is it you wanted to talk about?
It's
hard to put into words. No matter what I had been preparing myself for, a conversation like this wasn't part of it.
It's about family. Our family.
I was gonna say.
Our... You're a Dulcing as well?
I'm a Fisher, actually. But a change in last name doesn't change the fact that we're part of the same family.
At first, I couldn't believe it. When Maddie and Abigail were telling their story, I thought that there must have been some sort of misunderstanding, or that I'd heard wrong. But the details all matched up. Not just with what Evelyn's told me over the years she's tried to break my spirit, but with the notes and journals she's left behind. Journals left behind by those before me.
So she hasn't changed after all these years. It's still us.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be next. There isn't anyone else. No siblings or aunts or uncles. Just me and her.
She makes a sound of sympathy and moves closer to me on the bed, touching my shoulder gently. I tense up, almost shaking hard enough to shrug her off, but she remains. I don't want to be that person anymore, the one afraid to let anyone close, physically or emotionally.
I'm sorry.
I just nod. I can tell that she doesn't know what to say either, and that's fine.
Do you mind if I ask you something?
Sure.
Why didn't you leave? Back in my time, it wasn't even a possibility. There was no way I could have escaped. We wouldn't have gotten very far if we'd tried. But now, Madison's told me about all sorts of fantastic machines and devices. Surely you could have gone.
I shrug. Of course I considered it, dreamed about it even, but there's no way she could know about that. And besides...
I thought about running away many times. I thought of a lot of different ways to make sure she couldn't hurt me anymore. But the same thing stopped me every time. She wouldn't just give up because I'm not around. She'd find someone else, just like she always has. And they'd die instead.
I brace for her to tell me that that's ridiculous, and that I should have put myself first, or to burst into tears at the very notion. Instead, she laughs. It's not a happy laugh, though.
I see. I understand. Truly. I chose to die for someone else's sake as well. Someone I cared about very deeply.
She sighs wistfully, remembering days long gone. I can't help but smile the same way that she laughed.
I see I'm just carrying on the family tradition then.
Let's make sure it ends with you.
I nod. It will, one way or the other.
I am glad, though, to know that her family turned out to have people as wonderful as you.
I'm really not anything that special.
I disagree. Not just anyone could have done what you have.
She leans forward, wrapping her arms around me in a gentle hug. This time I don't hesitate. I hug her back. Family. It's never been a word that really meant much to me. All I've ever had was the monster in my home. Now, though, I realize that that's no longer the case. We separate and I gesture towards the door. She nods. Together we leave the room and rejoin the rest of our family. Gotta get this lot out of this crap now, yeah. Yeah, we're all in it together. All or nothing, right? Abigail and Morgan come out of Tara's room and join us, both smiling. I'll have to ask her about what they talked about later tonight. But right now, I'm just enjoying the moment. I feel at peace. I feel more at peace than at any time since arriving in Eisenfeld. Even during the sweetest moments with Abigail, there was still the lingering bleakness of being a ghost. Now, despite the threat of Evelyn, it feels like there is a chance of everything turning out well. As we talk, Morgan's cat comes and hops up on my lap. I would have expected her to take to Abigail, not me. I scratch behind her ears, and she leans into the motion, purring contentedly. Tara notices and sits up straight.
Wait a sec. Mads, I just realized, but you haven't met Geladura yet, right?
I have. Back in the shop, right after we arrived. Remember?
But you haven't heard her talk.
No, I mean, like, met her. Morgan was right. She really can talk.
She can.
I can.
The cat looks up from my lap, staring into my eyes. Her tail swishes lazily.
If I feel like it.
Hopefully Evelyn doesn't try to take Abigail since she's already possessed her once. That's an interesting thought. How would that work? I feel like she could take anyone, right? She's just been keeping it within the family.
Then why didn't you sooner?
Because I'm a cat. It's the first question that comes to mind. Geladura closes her eyes. After a moment, I start to think that she's fallen asleep, but then she opens them once more.
I didn't feel like it.
I look over at Morgan sitting across from me.
I guess I owe you an apology.
It's fine. She certainly didn't make it easy to believe.
Geladura stands up, her tail lashing as she strides over to drape herself across Abigail. In response, Abigail strokes Geladura's fur, looking almost as gleeful as when we had our first meal.
I didn't know if I could trust you. Now I know.
I leave the two of them to their cooing and cuddling and walk over to the front window, peering outside. How many times have I stared at the stars these past few nights? Abigail taught me a few consolations, but tonight, It looks like an entirely different sky. I rest my head against the window pane, soaking in the starlight and calm. Do they know each other? They could. Who the heck knows?
Hey, by the way, you said you only came into the village that one time, right?
Yeah, we didn't want to risk it any more than that. Not with how close we came to Evelyn.
Makes sense. You, didn't see anything embarrassing when you were spying on us, right?
We weren't spying. Or at least we weren't trying to. But no, thank God.
Oh, phew. For real though, after this is over, but before we leave, you've got to show us some of the cool spots in the forest.
Sure, that'd be fun. Actually, do you want to go right now?
Oh, wait, for real?
I can show you the fairy clearing at least. That's our favorite spot.
How long a walk is it? It's getting kind of late.
Tara, no. I'm magic.
Oh, we wouldn't need to walk.
Tara's face slowly morphs from puzzlement to excitement as she realizes what I'm suggesting.
You mean like magic?
I nod.
Oh, hell yeah!
Her enthusiasm starts Geladura, who hops up and runs away. Abigail gestures in vain for her to come back.
You two up for a field trip?
Sure.
Geladura traipses back in, returning to Abigail's feet. Abigail perks up immediately.
Would you like to come with us, Miss Jaladora?
I suppose so. Oh, carry me.
Abigail gladly obliges. They must know each other. I lead everyone outside and into the tree line just in case there's anyone watching. I gather everyone into a circle and the four of us lock hands while Geladura perches on Abigail's neck.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Magic kitty to magic forest! The forest greets me and I respond in kind. It shows us the way to its heart, to the lake. I hold Abigail and Tara's hands tightly and breathe the softest sigh. I thank the forest, then I open my eyes and we're here. As soon as we arrive, I feel the presence of the fairies in my mind. They're instantly aware of where we are, my goodness. And I send them all a mental greeting, which is returned right away. Geladura slicks her ears back, and her tail begins to lash harder than before. I wonder if she can feel magic too. 'Cause she is also a fairy? Is that our understanding? Before I can ask, Tara whistles in awe.
Dang, Mads. You really leveled up, huh?
I put all my skill points into magic.
There you go. Even Morgan looks dumbstruck, something I'm not used to from her. She tilts her head back, staring in open-mouthed wonder at the glimmering trees and fairy lights.
What is this place? Are we really still in the forest?
Yes, it's a very special grove. It was one of the first places I brought Madison. We came back here many times.
It definitely feels magical. Oh, damn it. I should have brought my camera.
We all head down to the pond. Tara and Morgan gawk at its unfrozen waters the same way that I did when I first saw it. I feel a strange sense of pride seeing them so excited about this place. A loud buzzing sound suddenly fills the air. Before I can warn Tara and Morgan about what's about to happen, fairies burst forth from the trees. Tara yelps in shock as they pass over her, wings beating noisily.
Your Majesty! You're back! You returned!
Hello, you three.
It's nice to be greeted so enthusiastically, even if I didn't exactly want to be queen. I wave, expecting the three of them to come to me right away. But to my surprise, the fairies sail right past me and flock around Abigail instead.
Our queen!
Neat! Geladura hisses as Abigail shrinks back, looking afraid.
I'm not your queen. She's over there.
It's Geladura. Abigail tries to point to me, but the fairies ignore her.
No, you're not. We know you aren't. It isn't you.
One of them reaches for Geladura, and she swats at the fairies with one paw, just like Abigail did when we first encountered them. The fairies react with shocked indignance, their mouths open in identical shapes of puzzlement. They abandon verbal communication and instead emanate a wave of questioning curiosity. Although I can feel it, it's not directed at me. By listening, or rather feeling, I realize who they're communicating with. Geladura.
Whoa, whoa, Whoa!
Just to be sure I'm right, I communicate a request for confirmation. Despite her discomfort, Geladura turns to me from Abigail's arms, blinking languidly.
Yes, that's right.
Fairies have real sad dog energy. Interesting that Madison gets called Maddie and Mads a lot, yes. I think Tara is the main one who calls her Mads. And then everyone else calls her Maddie. And then Abigail calls her Madison. Now I'm the one whose jaw drops in shock.
Here to fill us in, Mads?
Cat? Geladura. Fairy Queen.
Everyone is silent for a moment, even the fairies. Then Abigail clears her throat.
Does that mean I should set you down then?
No, this is fine.
Wait a second. A little seed of hope blooms instantly within my heart. The fairies answer my question before I can even think it. The seed of hope withers and dies in response.
Maddie?
Oh. She can't be queen again? I close my eyes tightly. I see Geladura in my mind's eye, and the rest of the world fades away as I speak to her. Once again, the fabrics of time tear and disappear. The fairies guide our voices. Geladura can't be fairy queen, not anymore. Not after what the moonsick one did to her. Evelyn. The last pieces of the puzzle fall into place. I see it clearly. Evelyn, the rogue fairy, burning under the moonlight. The fairy queen ritual gone wrong. Geladura running after Evelyn. And then disappearing. Without realizing it, I've reached out for Geladura, stroking her fur. The fairies and I communicate with the heart of the woods. To free her and restore her rightful place on the throne. The woods ushers forth its strength. The fairies conglomerate around us. The buzzing increases in frequency until it's a dull hum. I reach within myself. The waxing moon basks the scene, and I gather its light into a pool of my hands. Reaching out, I feel the magic on Geladura begin to vibrate violently. Interesting. What if the fairy queen says you should stop carrying me? Fun fact is where me and Narwhal took a break. Excellent. Well, then you don't know the spoilers no more, do you? Have we made the same decisions? And there's only been 2 choices so far, right? It burns to the touch. Geladura yowls in pain, and all at once the magic shatters and melts away. With a gasp, I'm back to the present. Abigail rushes over to catch me, and the effects of time return. I finished a couple days ago. Oh, okay. There you go, then. Their interest in the obsolete queen waning, the fairies clump back up to get ready to depart. Jeez.
We'll see you again soon. When the moon is at its brightest. One way or another.
With that cheerful reminder, they take off, fading out of sight. I separate their thoughts from my own and push them away. So, wait, hold on. So she tried to do magic, on Geladura. I feel the magic on Geladura vibrate violently. Yowls in pain, magic shatters and melts away. Their interest in the obsolete queen waning, the fairies clump back. So yeah, what happened here? This made it sound like she did something, but then they're all like, okay, scene's over.
Madison, what happened?
Oh. I take a deep breath and steady myself. Abigail scoops the pained Geladura into her arms, petting and cooing.
It's a long story. I'll tell you later. Geladura, are you all right?
Yes. It was foolish to think you, new spring queen, could dispel such a powerful curse on a waxing moon.
Geladura turns away and grooms herself. I feel a rush of guilt. It was worth a shot. Tara touches my arm slightly.
You okay, Mads?
Yeah, I'm fine.
She grins and pats my back. Trying to ease the mood, she stretches wide and lets out a huge nervous laugh.
Oh, good. Well, that wasn't like anything I expected. The fairies, especially.
What did you think they'd be like?
I have no idea. But it definitely didn't involve your cat being a queen.
I would have gotten you the nicer cat food if I'd known.
Yo, Gelato, how come you never told us you were a fairy queen?
Geladura doesn't even deign to look at Tara.
You never asked.
Is that a cat answer or is that a fairy answer? That's both, isn't it? Lies, all cats have queen energy, exactly. Jezebel, are you a fairy queen? She's not answering. As soon as we arrive back at the cabin, Abigail makes a mad dash toward the couch and flops down on it with a loud thud. I'm a little surprised by how quickly she covers the distance. Geladura leaps from her arms and then trops over to the kitchen, immediately sticking her face in her food bowl.
Oh, my feet.
Are they sore? I can imagine walking around again after so long might be a bit draining.
No, it's not that. It's these boots.
Abigail kicks off her boots and sends them flying, eliciting a yelp of surprise from Tara as one of the boots nearly hits her dead on.
Your feet are bigger than mine. Do you have any idea what it feels like to get snow in your boots for the first time in 200 years?
The three of us shudder in unison at the thought. Tara takes another step away from the boot as if she's afraid of infecting it with her cold feet.
I can tell you right now that when we do go to America, I'm going to be spending the entirety of the winter months indoors.
Let's move to Florida. I can't help grinning at her words. Even if it wasn't entirely serious, that's the first time I've heard her speak about our future together with that much certainty. I make my way to the couch and sit down beside her, putting my arm around her without a second thought. She leans against me, our bodies perfectly aligned.
When the summer months roll around, I am definitely taking you ladies to the beach.
Abigail instantly perks up at that, clasping her hands together and leaning towards Tara with a huge grin on her face.
Yes! Goodness! The sand, the sun. I'd love to see the ocean.
Morgan seems a little less enthusiastic about the prospect of a beach, her face an expression more of concern than excitement.
If we go to the beach, I'm going to end up looking like a lobster.
Yeah, but you'd be a really hot lobster.
Grumpy Abigail is cute? Yes, agreed. I try as hard as I can to suppress a groan, but Morgan and Abigail both chuckle. Abigail I can understand, but the fact that Morgan generally finds this kind of thing endearing is baffling.
Thanks, babe. So, Abigail, what's the most interesting invention you've seen since you came back?
I suppose... I haven't seen much of it, but the internet seems like a wonderful tool. I love the idea of being connected and sharing thoughts, feelings, and creativity with everyone around the world.
My girl! There isn't a single person more qualified to teach you about the internet than I am.
Oh no.
We are gonna have a blast.
Don't do it. Stay away.
There's no way I'm going to let you be the one to show her around the web. You get into enough trouble on your own.
But Madison, doesn't Tara perform on the internet? I assume that means she's very knowledgeable about its workings.
Yeah, that's the problem. Tara raises an eyebrow and leans down to place her hands on the table, staring closely at Abigail.
So Mads told you about Terranormal, huh?
Oh no.
She told me some things. I know you tell stories about supernatural occurrences and that you take them very seriously, even when they're quite obviously untrue.
Now her shirt's back. Okay, so she's not tracking the phases, she just has a bunch of different moons.
Did she now?
Sweetie, maybe we shouldn't...
And she told me that people all over the world enjoy watching you. It sounds like you must be an incredible storyteller.
Nice save.
Tara breaks into the same massive grin she always puts on when she knows she's found a new audience.
You don't know the half of it, Abby. I've got 1 million of them.
I roll my eyes and lean back against the couch. Abigail just moves closer, ready to hear whatever Tara's going to say next. Just looking at her feels healing. If listening to Tara's stories makes her happy, then Tara can tell as many stories as she wants. Not that I'd ever tell Tara that, of course. One story turns into another. Morgan and I will chime in with a correction every now and then, but we mostly let Tara work her magic. Abigail keeps asking questions, and Tara keeps eating them up. If Morgan's anything like me, she must enjoy seeing the girl she loves acting so happy. I know I am. I don't know what's going to happen after this. We're still in danger. We still don't have a way out. But that doesn't mean we can't enjoy our time together, all of us. I just wish I could shake the feeling that this is the last time we'll have this chance. We stay like that for a while, telling stories, making jokes, and most importantly, talking about our future. Whether it happens or not, talking about it puts all of us at ease. We talk about sharing technology with Abigail, getting her and Morgan new wardrobes, where we're going to go on dates when we get back. In those moments, it all feels real, like we're remembering the moments that haven't happened yet. Eventually, the sun begins to dip below the horizon. We have another huge meal to Abigail's delight. Afterwards, Tara tells her even more stories as Morgan and I clean up after them. I'm not sure if the four of us are going to stay in one apartment for long when we get back, but I think I'd really enjoy being around Tara and Morgan. Not as much as I enjoy being around Abigail, of course, but enough enjoyment to make me want to stick with them. In time, Abigail starts to yawn and blink warily as Tara talks. She hadn't had a chance to sleep since she got her body back, so she's no doubt unprepared for the strength of the body's need to rest. When the sun finally sets, we say our goodbyes and head to our room. I'm already looking forward to tomorrow. And now we're Morgan again. It's interesting that we're Morgan more often than Tara. I close the door to Tara's room and lean against it to steady myself. I'm still trying to process everything that's happened. I have family, real family that doesn't want to hurt me. And I'm not just talking about Abigail. When I was watching the three of them talk and laugh together, I felt like I was home. Like this is where I've always belonged.
Hey, you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Sorry, just trying to wrap my head around all this.
I getcha. There's a lot to unpack. You can take your time with it.
Tara's big energy is best experienced from off to the side. Morgan is reflective. I know that feeling.
I guess that means now isn't really a good time to talk, huh?
What do you mean?
I wanted to talk to you about something, or ask you about something, I don't know. It can wait if you still want to work on getting your stuff sorted.
Is something wrong?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I've just been thinking about some stuff.
Like...
Tara takes a deep breath and scoots back on the bed. She curls her leg up towards herself, taking a surprisingly subdued posture.
It's, well, you know how Abby's been calling us a couple all day? Even though we told her we're not.
Yeah, she's not very good at taking hints.
I'm not sure if that's it. I think she's just, like, direct. Kinda like you. Runs in the family, I guess. I know we agreed that we were going to stay friends or whatever you'd call this until this is all over. I get that. But after seeing the two of them, I'm not sure if I feel like that anymore. We've still got a lot of shit left to deal with. We still don't have a plan, but I think that's okay.
Her shirt changed again. Her shirt's not consistent! Oh no! She shrugs half-heartedly and looks down. I want to give her a hug, but I can't move.
Abby put a name on this thing we have when we couldn't, and maybe she's wrong, but I don't want her to be. I really love you, Morgan. I don't want to deny that. I want to be closer than just friends that love each other.
Don't.
The word leaves my mouth before I have a chance to think about it.
What?
Please don't ask.
I'm sorry. I thought...
It's not that I don't want to. That's why I'm asking you not to say it. Because I know I'll say yes if you do.
She looks up at me. I can practically hear the cogs turning in her head.
Why don't you want to say yes?
People get hurt when they get close to me. I don't even like having friends because of how guilty I feel when Evelyn gets in the way. I'm already so close to you. Closer than I've ever been to anyone. But if I put a label on it, a part of me just feels like it would put you in more danger.
I feel so stupid saying it out loud. It's just a word. Why am I so afraid of a word?
Besides, I've never had a girlfriend before. I don't know what it could mean for me. Or for you.
What do you mean? What about the one that taught you how to knit?
Oh no, how could I have forgotten about that lie? It was just so easy to say back then. It made me seem like I knew what I was doing. Made it easier to ignore what happened with those girls. What happened with those girls? Tara's understood everything about me, but I still don't want to tell her about what I did with them. Or why I did it.
Hey, it's cool. I've had plenty
Excuse
of girls
me?
lie about having girlfriends before. It's just a thing people do. We can just forget about it. We're past lies now, right?
Uh-huh. Her words stab at me like needles. It's not like she's going to force this out of me. I could even tell myself that this isn't a lie. That it's just not telling her about something she never asked about.
There's more to it than a simple lie.
Wait, what am I saying? What am I doing?
There are still things I haven't told you about me. About what I've done. Things that could make you change your mind.
Tara manages a weak smile. It's hard to be reassuring when you don't know what you're reassuring someone about.
If you don't want to date, that's okay. I get it. But nothing you can tell me is going to change how I feel about you.
She sits forward again and pats the spot on the bed next to her. But right now, I'd rather be miles away from her, not closer. I hate feeling like this. I finally learned how to get close to people, and now I'm back to pushing her away.
Do you remember what I called myself the first time we talked to Jeladora?
A shell. But you know that's bullshit now, right? We're gonna make sure Evelyn can't get in your head anymore.
Evelyn isn't the only one that made me feel that way.
My throat feels dry. I need something to drink, but I know what'll happen if I stop. If this closes, I won't open it again.
I didn't learn how to knit from an ex-girlfriend. I learned from Hannah. I had feelings for her. We were close, but she cut off all contact with me when I told her how I felt. Word travels fast in Eisenfeld. Within a week, everyone in the village knew I was gay. That's when bad things started happening to Hannah. She slipped on a patch of ice and broke her leg. A few days later, her dog died. The next week, she came down with the worst flu any of us had ever seen. I knew it was Evelyn's doing, but who was going to believe me? As far as they were concerned, all this happened because she rejected me. I'm pretty sure some of the older people in the village still think I'm a witch.
That explains a lot. That explains a lot. I clench my fists, digging my nails as far into my palm as they'll go before my limbs freeze up. As far as they'll go until the icy hex within me takes over again. Interesting. Interesting phrasing there. Icy hex. She's got some weird temperature thing going on.
Nobody talked to me for a month. You told me that you spoke to some girls our age back when you were doing interviews. Did you ask them about me?
Yeah, we did.
What did they say?
Nothing really bad or anything. One of them seemed closer to you than the other two, and her friend was kind of teasing her about it. Just typical stuff.
As if any of them have the right to mock each other. They're all the same.
I probably slept with her.
I wait for Tara to voice her disbelief, but she doesn't say a word.
After Hannah got better, girls started coming by the store. They always had some kind of excuse. They'd start dropping hints. Talk about how they'd always been curious about what it was like to be with a girl. How they didn't have anywhere to be that day.
I still can't look at her. So she doesn't sell antiques. I don't even know what you'd call that. She's the village beard. I don't know. She's the person that all the girls can go flirt with and be gay with, and no one will ever know. It's not prostitution, but it's like oddly adjacent. I still can't look at her. Any rational person would judge me for this. I know I've judged myself plenty.
They always left right after. Most of them wouldn't talk about it. They'd just go back to their normal lives. I guess some of them talked, though. Soon enough, I got a reputation. I knew I was being used. I resigned myself to being a shell. So I let them use that shell.
I don't know when I started moving, but before I know it, I'm standing by the bed.
Evelyn never let me feel like this body belonged to me. She chose my clothes, she chose my style, she even chose what I do with my hair. It was her body, and she wanted it how she liked it.
I can't keep standing. As much as I want to push away, I sit down next to Tara. Looking at her face, I can't tell what she's thinking. My mind runs through every worst-case scenario as I make myself push onward.
But things have been different with you. For the first time, sex started to mean something. Being open started to seem possible. Being myself started to seem possible. But all I know about myself is how easy it is for other people to use me. If I go out into the world and live for myself, I don't know what kind of person I'm going to become.
The shaking has started to subside, replaced by a painful knot in my gut. Almost there. I can make it.
What if I end up becoming someone you can't love? What if my shell is the only worthwhile part of me?
Without warning, Tara throws her arms around me and pulls me close. I wrap my arms around her waist without even thinking.
You're not a shell, Morgan. You're the furthest thing from that. Just because someone tried to make you something other than yourself, or because people took advantage of you, that can't destroy the real you. That you has always been there. And I know it a lot better than you might think.
She nuzzles my neck, and I can feel the dampness of her cheeks. She's crying.
You've got passion, you've got personality, you've got conviction, you've got so much awesome stuff in you that I couldn't name it all if you gave me a whole week. All of that is the real you.
Kind of wondered if the other girls were IDK mind-controlled by Evelyn, like a misguided attempt to control Morgan by proxy. I mean, the whole town did seem to have... Like, that was one of her initial thoughts, was, is there some kind of charm over the entire town? I mean, because no one wanted to talk about Morgan. Everyone was just like, there's a curfew, cursed woods, whatever. So that one of my first thoughts was, does she have some weird hold on everyone? But it could also just be really persistent rumors, right? Also, real humans just being human do also suck. Yeah, it's true.
And that's the girl I'm in love with. The girl I want to be with no matter what. And I want to put a name on it so you know that'll never change.
We pull apart and she wipes the tears from her eyes.
I don't really know a non-cheesy way to put it, so... Will you be my girlfriend?
If you're okay with everything I've done, with everything I still have to do, then how could I say no?
Tara instantly lets out a long wheeze and clutches her hand to her chest. Is she okay?
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Just give me a minute. I feel like my body's trying to overcome being allergic to commitment right now.
I awkwardly pat her on the shoulder. It's obvious that neither of us have any idea what you're supposed to do in a situation like this. Tara grabs me by the waist and gently leads us over to the bed. I press my forehead against hers and for once allow myself to be comforted. She strokes my hair. Time slows to a standstill. We kiss. This could be our last night together, but in a way it's our first night together too. I'm going to make the most of it. Aww. Tara is a trans internet celebrity. I feel like you'd have to have done a lot of stuff to really freak her out. I know, right? I hold Tara close in my arms. She's nestled close to me. The sun is long gone, but the moon is bright enough to illuminate her smile. I'm smiling too. I close my eyes and let myself relax. I think I might actually sleep well tonight. But as always, luck isn't on my side.
Hey,
What?
do you hear that?
I strain my ears and see if I can sense anything out of the ordinary, but apart from the usual sounds of the forest, it's silent.
I can't hear anything. Maybe you dreamed it?
Unless this is a dream, it's definitely real. I can hear it right now, I swear.
I sit up in bed and look over at her. She's already most of the way up, head swaying as she looks for the source of whatever she's hearing.
Well, what does it sound like?
Kinda like,
She makes a strange whooshing noise and twirls her arms around. I don't see how arm movements are part of a sound, but I doubt I'd understand what she's talking about no matter how she put it. She looks back at me for confirmation, but all I can do is shrug. In response, she jumps out of her bed and starts pulling her clothes on.
I'm gonna go see what it is. You coming?
Whether or not the sound is real, I'm not about to let her go off on her own. I mean, that's smart. I promised I'd protect her, and that includes protecting her from mysterious noises.
Right behind you.
We've seen how lethal they can be. Besides, as powerful as Maddie is, there's still a chance Evelyn could be trying something. I follow her out of bed and pull on my shoes. She gives me a quick grin in response, excited to have me along for the ride again. Sounds kind of like a ballistic missile. Tara bolts out the door as I finish tying my laces. A second later, I hear her banging on the door to Maddie and Abigail's room.
Mats! Are you guys making that noise?
I pull on my sweater and walk into the hall in time to see Maddie slowly open the door of her room, covering herself with a blanket.
Oh, Tara. It's nearly 2 in the morning. Whatever this is, can it wait till morning?
Come on, not you too. I thought it was coming from your room.
Abigail's voice calls out from the room along with the rustling of sheets.
What was coming from our room?
Are you kidding me?
She turns and storms away from the door, moving out into the kitchen. I nod apologetically at Maddie before following Tara.
Babe, come on. Let's just go back to bed. I'm sure that whatever it is can wait until morning.
It keeps getting louder though. What if it's something dangerous? Maybe Evelyn has her own evil forest spirit and she's riding it towards the cabin or something.
There's a pang in my heart. It's cold and familiar. If this sound is that loud but none of us can hear it, maybe it's only meant for her to hear. As I try to figure out how to get her back to bed, Maddie and Abigail join me in the hallway.
So, what's she doing this time?
She woke up hearing some kind of whooshing noise that I couldn't hear. I thought she'd just imagined it, but she can still hear it.
Maddie rubs her chin, puzzled. Abigail looks out at Tara with a worried expression. I can't shake the unsettling feeling in my chest either.
This isn't the first time something like this has happened, so I'd be inclined to dismiss it. But with everything else that's happened this month...
Before she can finish her sentence, Tara turns towards the door.
There! It's right outside!
Abigail realizes it first. She steps towards Tara, reaching out her hand.
Tara, don't! What if it's...
Oh no. No. I'm an idiot. Why didn't I figure it out sooner?
Tara, stay away from the door!
She doesn't look back. As she takes another step towards the door, I will myself to start moving again.
Now you guys are actually going to be able to see what I'm talking about.
I don't like this. Skinwalkers with ballistic missile launchers. Yeah, that's good. To be fair, Tara's the only one that hasn't had any freaky shit happen to her yet. True. But that's because she's the only person who, believes in freaky shit.
You're gonna feel so dumb for doubting me.
I'm running towards her, but it's too late. She grabs the handle and throws the door open.
Wait, what?
There's nothing outside. Maybe that sight will be enough to bring her back to her senses.
The sound's gone. It was right there.
She turns back to look at me. I'm only a couple steps away and I can see the expression on her face. She's terrified.
Babe, what?
Flash of light fills the room. I'm stopped dead in my tracks as I raise my arm to cover my eyes.
Tara!
The light dissipates and my eyes slowly readjust. In the haze, my fears are confirmed. She's gone. Tara's gone. I'm frozen. I can't process what's happening. I'm not sure how long the tears start rolling down my face before I notice them. Maddie and Abigail look at me in silence, and then I start screaming. I've never made a sound like this. It's an angry roar that fills the cabin.
No! Morgan, It was supposed to be me!
It's happening again, just like everyone before her. Nope. I love her, and now because of me, I collapse to the ground.
Not her. Please.
Hot tears fall from my cheeks to the floor below. I feel a pair of arms wrap around me and a voice in my ear.
Morgan, it's okay. It'll be okay.
I slowly turn towards her. She and Maddie both stand close to me. I can see how worried they are, for Tara and for me. Maddie puts a hand on my shoulder. I flinch, but I don't pull away.
She's still alive. I can feel it. Whatever just happened didn't kill her, but it did move her. I can't figure out where yet, but I can sense her. Somehow.
You're sure?
I'm sure. We can find her.
I think I know where she might be.
Where?
If it was Evelyn who took her, she most likely brought her to the church. That's where she performed the ritual to...
She trails off, but I know what she was about to say. The transfer ritual. She wants Tara's body.
But why her? That's what she was raising me for. Why would she take her?
I'm not sure, but I've got a feeling there's only one way to find out. I'd hoped we'd have enough time to come up with an actual plan before we had to face her. But we can't just let her have Tara.
I'm already heading for the door. Maddie and Abigail follow close behind.
We can figure something out on the way. Let's go.
Make sure you bring the cat, yes. Evelyn wants to be an influencer. There you go. We'll think of something. We have to. I have to imagine it's like spite against Morgan. This time is going to be different. I'm not going to let Evelyn win again. It's a scary thought. I'm going to get Tara back, no matter the cost. And this time I'm going to make sure Evelyn never hurts anyone again. For better or for worse, this is the end. Chapter 6! Hooray! And now we're Tara. Oh, good. I don't even have time to be disoriented before I hit the stone ground hard. I struggle to pick myself up and stand, but before I can, footsteps approach. Evelyn's, of course, and I'm hauled to my feet. She does it with one hand. She's way stronger than she looks.
Hello, Tara.
As expected, we're in the church. She drags me over and throws me onto the altar. I try to resist, but my limbs won't move.
Oh, hey! Thanks for the ride.
I'm scared, more scared than I've ever been in my whole life, but I don't want her to have the satisfaction of knowing it. She walks away out of sight, although I can still hear her close by.
They're gonna come for me, you know. We figured out your whole plan. They're probably already on their way.
Let them. I'll kill them too.
Her tone is casually disinterested. She can't even give me the courtesy of pretending she cares. I wish I could move my head to see her, but I can't. I can't move any part of me other than my mouth.
It's always such a nice feeling to return here. Such a sense of renewal and energy. Although, I imagine right now, you don't feel the same way.
I don't know. I'm digging the ambience.
I'm about to die and I'm making jokes. I mean, what else am I supposed to do? We had a plan, one with a good chance of working. I know that Mads and the rest won't abandon me. They'll just switch it up a little, same as if she'd taken Morgan like we expected. Honestly, it's probably better for everyone that Morgan's the one who's still free right now. She's less likely to screw something up than I am. Still, it's all I can do to suppress typos. The little voice inside me telling me to be afraid, to acknowledge that I'm going to die, or worse.
Really? You should be thanking me.
For what? I must have missed it.
Because by dying here, you've given poor Morgan another chance. If she runs away now, I have no more need of her. I'll let her live. Of course, if she turns up here with any delusions of grandeur, she'll die along with the rest of them.
Her eyes are weird. Have her eyes always been weird? A chill runs up my spine. Because I know beyond a shadow of doubt that there's no way she won't come for me, that she won't run away. Still, the way that Evelyn can talk so cruelly about her own daughter makes it hard for me to even keep up my attitude.
You really don't feel anything, do you? You raised her, you lived with her, and even after all that...
Finally, you get something right. I don't feel anything for her. You got something wrong, too.
Evelyn halts, and then and then stalks closer to the altar, close enough that I can see her wildly dilated pupils, the razor-sharp points on her fangs.
I didn't raise her. I cultivated her.
Creepy.
From the minute she was born, I prepped her for this fate, to be a worthy vessel. How could I have known that a much more useful one would arrive at my doorstep? Just days away from my ascension.
Now she takes a step back, letting the moonlight fall across her. She arches her back like a cat, enjoying it. She raises an arm, and I'm lifted into the air like a circus performer, suspended from nothing. My arms are snapped to my sides. I struggle as hard as I can, but I still can't move at all. I can't even flail around. Still, her words pique my curiosity, and I'm dying to know what she meant. Since I might be dying anyway, I may as well ask.
More useful how?
She grins.
Because this night is very, very special.
Explains why she let Tara stay close. To be fair, she should have just bumped her off. Right? I mean, she clearly didn't have a problem doing that with Maddie.
For years, centuries even, I've whiled away my time here in Eisenfeld. It's amused me to no end. But I've grown bored of it. I desire to see more of the world. And while any human body would do, I suppose, there's merit in one such as yourself. One with influence and fame.
I don't even know the words to convey how disgusted I feel. Not enough for her to steal my body, but she also wants to pretend to be me. I think the horror I feel must show on my face because she smirks. As she does so, her skin starts to shimmer and shake like there's light just beneath it. A thin thread of ethereal matter, like the spell that she used to bring me here, ekes into existence. It stretches between her hand and my chest. The second it comes into contact with me, I feel like all the strength is sapped out of me, like I'm being sedated. I hope I'm only passing out and not dying. I'm not sure if the two feel different. It would suck extra hard if I was dying though, because then the last sight would be Evelyn sneering cruelly. Just before it all goes black, she manages to get one final taunt.
What an ironic fate for you, don't you think? You came out here seeking magic, and now you've found it.
Is that irony, or just kind of how it goes, I guess? We called it, I think... Did I call it? I think you called it, or someone called it. Yeah, she's in it to be an influencer. We're up and ready to go nearly the instant that Tara disappears. In a shock, of course, but none of that messes up all of our plans. I walk to the front door, which is still open and banging in the wind.
I'm going to fucking kill her if she hurts Tara.
Tara will be fine. She's tough. Besides, we've got a plan, right?
Do you? After a long moment, I nod.
Right.
Maddie turns back to face Abigail, who's half hidden by the bedroom door.
Are you sure you want to go, sweetheart? You can stay here.
Of course not. There's no way you're doing this alone. I'm just a little nervous, that's all.
Me too. I'm a lot nervous, actually. We'll be fine, though.
If she keeps saying that, it'll be true, right? I wish I could believe it. I wonder if Maddie even does. I scoop up Geladura and wait outside. We need to leave now, but I force myself to not rush them along. A minute later, they follow me outside. And just trees. We hurry out into the woods. Despite some wind and fog, the night is relatively clear.
Are you sure you don't want me to just take you to the church? I could have us there in a second.
I know, but she can't know about your powers yet. If we arrive too fast, then Evelyn will know something's up.
I mean, she's gonna show up looking like this. And the fact that they're alive, the fact that they exist, is gonna tell her that something's up. It'd be nice to take the easy way like that, but we can't do anything rashly. Not if it might hurt Tara in the long run.
Right.
We have to wait until her soul is out of its body. That's when we'll send the signal.
Huh?
Do
Okay.
you know how long that'll last? Like, how long it'll be exposed?
I have no idea. I hope it won't be instant.
You hope?
This sounds like a bad idea. I nod. I wish that I knew more. I really do. But it's magic, and magic is rarely predictable. That's the only thing I can say with confidence about it. I'm not sure what more I should say. This is where we'll have to part. Even though I'm making the rest of my journey on foot, Maddie and Abigail will need to use magic to get to the fairy clearing. Before we do, though, there's one last thing I need to say.
Maddie? I know there isn't really time, but I need to say this, since I might not get another chance to.
Geladura nuzzles my chin, reassuring me.
I'm sorry. That doesn't even come close to describing it, but it's all that I can say. For bringing you out here, getting you involved in all of this. I never imagined any of it would turn out this way. So if you still hate me, I understand. I just wanted you to know.
It feels good to have the words out there. I've spent so much time apologizing these past few weeks, but it's still a bit of a relief every time.
Morgan. Well, first of all, I accept your apology. But I promise, I never hated you.
I just thought you were full of shit.
It was my fault for acting like such a bitch when we first got here. And as for everything else, well, some of it might have been Tara's fault, but a lot of it was my fault too. So, let's get this over with. We'll save Tara, take care of Evelyn, and then we'll all go home. Simple, right?
Mm-hmm. I just nod again. I'm not sure I can talk right now, not without crying, and I hate crying. I wish it were that simple. I hope it will be that simple. But it rarely is. I swallow the lump in my throat. I have to say something. Oh, no. Save. Time for saves. I promise I'll make it up to you. There's only one reason only way I can keep them safe for good. One way or another it ends tonight. I'm leaving Eisenfeld and taking Tara with me. You're not alone anymore. We can do this together. I think it's this one. It wasn't a question. It's just Morgan feels the need to say something. Only one way I can keep them safe for good is like she's gonna become the vessel, right? She sacrifices herself. One way or another it ends tonight, taking Tara with me. And we're doing it together. Morgan has to make a decision, yeah. To feel stupid. Yeah. I mean, the question is this like the not perfect ending, but they actually get away? And then this is like trying for the perfect ending, but everything goes wrong? I think we're going like this. We can do this together. I feel like that's the right choice, right? Third has the most characters. True. I don't feel like this is a thing where it tricks you, but that's a big question. It's a very big question. I mean, it determines what mindset Morgan goes into the final confrontation with, right? I feel like that's a pretty big thing. Best picture, sound logic. I'm okay with it. Works for me.
You're right. It's simple.
I take a deep breath, clear my head as best I can. I've been waiting my entire life for this. My entire bloodline has led me to this point. A chance to end all the pain I've endured, to save someone I love, to make sure the countless people who carry this burden before me will be avenged, and to make sure that no one else will get hurt. How it goes from here isn't just up to me, it's up to all of us. Around us, the wind quickens and grows in intensity. The bright full moon looms high over us. One last time, I nod at Maddie and Abigail.
Okay, Let's go.
This is hardly a plan. It's barely more than an idea. It relies far too much on luck and everything going our way. But it's all we have. The furious winds tell me that I'm in the right place, as if there was any doubt. When I approach the doors of the church, they blast open. I've been expected. I don't waste any time. I rush in. Tara floats in midair, suspended by invisible magic. She lies prone, but with her arms and legs apparently locked in place. She looks dead. A colorful cloud floats above her, with a long tail spiraling back towards her body. I don't even need to be told. I know that it's her soul. It thrashes about as much as a cloud can, but it's seemingly locked out. Below, Evelyn stands, hunched, with her back to me. A trail of malevolent white magic tethers her to Tara. Moonlight pours through the window behind them, piercing Tara and illuminating... Her hair changed, and illuminating Evelyn. When she hears me enter, she stands up straight, her back cracking obscenely. She's disgusting.
Morgan. You came.
Oh, her smile. Yeah, that's good. Good. It's fighting, unlike Abigail, right? Which means that if something goes wrong for Tara, she's not going to become a ghost, right? The only reason Abigail became a ghost was because she accepted it. Her voice isn't the voice I know. It's raspy and inhuman. It echoes around the church louder than it should be, dragging itself from corner to corner.
I knew you would. You always do.
Her body spasms and twitches as if electrified. Still, her voice remains steady and flat.
Of course I came. You're not taking Tara. You're not taking anyone else ever again.
She laughs, but it sounds like a choke. There's no humor in it. It's inhuman.
Do you know how many times I've heard that before? Countless.
Tara doesn't seem like the accepting it kind of lady. I agree. I must say I'm surprised Abigail is happy being in the church after what happened. Well, Abigail's not here, right? I think Abigail and Maddie are going to the fairy clearing, and it's just Morgan who's here. Least accepting kind of lady, agreed.
And yet, here we
Prior.
are.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
Predictable. You humans always are. Curiously so. You have all this freedom, but you don't know how to use it. Pity, 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 pity. Soon I'll have taken the body of your friend, and you will be dead, and I will be far, far gone.
I'll be on the internet.
You see, I've grown tired of playing pretend out here in the woods. I've decided it's time for something new. And Tara is going to give that to me.
You'll still be a pretender.
Mm-hmm. The cat is here. Evelyn seems to notice Geladura for the first time, and she licks her bloody lips.
You. So, you're here too.
Oh, Evelyn, you're already too far gone.
Fitting.
Evelyn's gaze narrows, and then her eyes widen once again. She points imperiously at Geladura and I, and the stone walls of the church rumble in response.
I can tell. You're still no queen. No more than that brat who stands beside you. You're still powerless. Tell me.
Who's the pretender now?
Oh, God. A brick detaches itself from the ceiling, plummeting down straight towards us. I dart out of the way, barely managing to avoid it. Geladura yells as I squeeze her harder than intended.
You're just as pitiful as she is. What did you think you could do? How did you think you had any chance? Or is it just human nature to try? Even if you're doomed to fail.
That is a true thing, yes, but the moon is at its peak, or close to it. If she waits much longer, she won't be able to complete the ritual, and she'll have done our job for us. Maybe she knows this because she turns away from us once again. I have to stop her. I push my legs forward, but some invisible force pushes back. Like moving through quicksand, I barely inch forward. Something's protecting her. Inch by inch, I have to keep moving. A pulsing ball of magic starts to form in front of Evelyn, and she focuses intently on it. The light from the moon falls directly on her. Her skin reacts to it, bubbling and boiling like hot wax. It must be agonizing, but she doesn't react. Maybe she's beyond pain. Gelidora leaps out of my arms, making her own way beside me. Her breathing is ragged and labored. Neither of us waste energy on more words. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'll do if I reach Evelyn. I just know that I can't sit still. The coalescing ball of magical energy continues to grow and grow, taking on a sinister dark hue, the color of a moonless night, the color of an empty void. It starts to spin, crackle, and shimmer. That's when I realize this isn't the soul transfer. It's too strong, too unstable. A tendril of malevolent energy suddenly shoots out straight toward me. It moves too fast for me to react. It pierces me like an arrow. Godless, fiery pain burns through my veins. My whole body stiffens, refusing to move. I can't even cry out. Each individual atom of my body feels like it's being tortured, like a burning needle is being driven through them. I want to scream. I want some sort of release, but I'm not even granted that mercy. Behind the pain, there's a rising, mounting horror. I'm going to die here after all, aren't I? My vision starts to go black. I welcome oblivion. At least then I won't have to hurt anymore. I try to move my eyes to fixate on Tara. If I'm going to die, I at least want my last sight to be of her, even like this. I can't even manage that. All I can see is Evelyn. She says something, her lips moving, but I'm deaf to it. All I can hear is deep, resonating ringing in my sound in my ears, like some perverse bell toll. Parry the brick! Then Evelyn's eyes go wide, wider than before. The air behind her shimmers and shakes, just like her magic spell. Empty space tears itself open and she's sucked backwards like a rag doll. In an instant, the magic and pain is gone, leaving behind no trace. I fall forward, my momentum having been locked in place with me, and just ahead, Tara crashes to the ground limply. I stagger to my feet, not trusting my body to support me, but it does. The complete absence of pain is a shock in its own right. I feel like I should be experiencing the after effects, but I'm not. All that lingers is the memory. Gelidora scurries over to me.
Morgan, are you all right?
I think so. I feel fine, actually. What happened to Evelyn?
She licks the back of her paw for a second, then stops.
I'm afraid that I panicked and I sent the signal to Madison. I tried to help you, but I couldn't. My own power is still weak, not nearly enough to match Evelyn's.
There's no changing it now. None of this matters if Maddie isn't able to stop Evelyn. It was going to be unlikely to begin with. It looks like we're in a hard fight. Gelidora must know this much too. She pads back and forth, her tail twitching in agitated fervor. I stroke her fur.
Still, thank you. Can you help me check on Tara?
Of course.
We rush over to where Tara lies prone on the cold floor. Her soul is nowhere to be seen, which I hope means it's returned to her body. I cradle her as tenderly as I can, checking for a sign of a pulse or breath. I gently prop her against my chest, stroking her hair.
Please be okay. Please.
2 tears drip down my face, landing on hers. I didn't realize I was crying. Gelidora lingers beside us, nuzzling her face against Tara's cheek.
She's alive. I can feel that much.
Is she okay, though?
I don't think she should experience any lasting effects from the magic. It's the fall to the ground that worries me more.
Yeah, that sucks too. That's true. She fell from pretty high up onto a stone floor. I wipe away the tears that fell on her, steeling myself to prevent any more. I trace my finger across the curve of her jaw, down to her lips. They press together just a bit to kiss my finger.
Tara! Tara, can you hear me?
I'm afraid to let hope spring into my heart again. Her lips move just barely.
I can't hear you.
There's a soft, blessedly warm gust of air against my face as she sighs and forces her eyes open.
I said, I'm dumb as bricks, babe. It'll take more than head trauma to hurt me.
I pull her up into a hug and she pats my back.
You're okay? You're sure?
Do we think Maddie or Tara dies? They're in one scenario. I think the other... I'm not sure there's a scenario where no one dies. I want dumb as bricks babe on a t-shirt. There you go. I think the magical girl one, what was the other one? Like, bitch, I'm magic on one side, and then dumb as a bricks on the other side. Me too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I wipe my eyes as we part to face each other again.
I was so scared.
I wasn't. I knew you'd save me.
I don't deserve someone like her.
Is there any way we can get to Mads? She might need our help.
We both turn to face Geladura.
I can take us there, but I don't know how much use I'll be once we arrive.
That's fine. Terra moves to question, but I place a hand lightly on my arm. Geladura is barely holding on as is, and her guilt at her inability to do more is palpable. It's all up to Maddie.
Let's go. There isn't much time.
I help Terra to her feet, and she immediately winces, hissing in pain.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Guess I just hurt my ankle in the fall.
She's able to stand on her own, giving me a shaky smile. I don't like it, but there's nothing I can do right now. At least it's only her foot and not her head or back. With a graceful jump, Geladura hops into my arms once again. I stand next to Terra, who leans against me for support. With one hand, I support the cat. With my other, I take Terra's hand into my own, then I nod.
We're ready.
And now we're Maddie again. And with that, I think we are done for the day. How's that for a cliffhanger? Don't you dare. I'm gonna dare. I told you we're ending on time today. This is gonna keep going for a bit. There's gonna be a climax, and there's gonna be like an after chapter, right? And then I also want to like go back and save Scum and see the other endings too. You sure? I mean, if it's like 5 minutes left, then maybe we'll do it. But I think it's gonna be more than that. Can't wait until Thursday. It's like 3 days. It's true. It's very true. I don't think it saves coming at that point. I agree. I think with the visual novels, like tradition, right? That's just how it works. But I'm expecting it to be more than like a 10-minute thing left, right? Pretty sure. I don't know. I think I'm hungry. I think I need to go make some food. Longer than 10 minutes, I think. Yeah, I'm imagining so. There's gonna be whatever happens, and then also like the cute ending part, right? And then we also want to spend time with the rest of it. So we're gonna get one more stream out of this. It's gonna be as angry as you want. I'm giving you a cliffhanger. I'm giving you something to get you through the week. Cute ending. It's gotta be, right? There's gotta be a cute ending. I'm still holding out hope for the 4 of them going to the beach in America together. Maybe not the ending we chose, but I'm holding out hope that is one of the endings. Yeah, don't tell me anything, but I am holding out hope. The hotel I'm in better have good Wi-Fi. Oh, that's true. You can be traveling on Thursday. If nothing else, you can catch the VOD, right? We'll be doing it at the same normal time. And we'll be there. We're gonna do it. Should be okay. That's good. Yeah, not to make it all difficult for you, but I mean, you told me at the start that you have to get up in like what, 5 hours? Something ridiculous. So I won't screw you over that way, and we'll have time to enjoy the rest of this and not like rush through it. There's nothing worse than like just sprinting through the very last of a game, right? We got to enjoy it. We got to enjoy it. That's what's going to happen. Come by on Thursday. Here we can. That can just keep going. Come by on Thursday, and we're gonna wrap this up. Unless there's like 5 hours left for some reason, which I don't think there are. I think we're gonna wrap this up on Thursday. I have to drive 80 miles in 6.5 hours. Yikes. Yikes. Yeah, you get some rest. Don't be driving while all sleepy. That's no good for you. Yeah, good luck. Good luck, everyone, with the rest of your week. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for everyone being here. Today's episode was brought to you by something, I'm sure. If my thing will even work. Brought to you by ice. Ice forever. All of the frozen, everything's frozen, but soon our hearts will thaw and we will fix everything and we will defeat Evelyn. We will defeat Evelyn, who has turned into quite a nasty villain. Yeah, she was like creepy and disconcerting at first, and now I'm properly terrified. So we're gonna deal with that on Thursday. Hope you all come by. Hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I hope you stay kind.